Hi, friends. Happy Sunday, August 7th, also known as the Lord's Day, a day of rest. And what do we do on days of rest? We pray. Joining me in this prayer session, I got my most religious festivities friends, Brandon T. McClure.
All hail the Yahucha.
The Yahucha Pope himself, Ben Magnet.
I actually went to a lot of bloody churches when I was overseas, so yeah, I guess I'm religious now.
Oh, don't you dare! Don't you start that! Don't you? I will punch you in the face through this screen.
The invisible fiend himself with the four mandibles. It's Sparks Witty.
I'm so upset because I realized like right after we went into, oh, Ryan's gonna do the intro, and then we were gone. I was like, shit, I should have done an intro about how Ben's back from being prey on Shark Week last week.
There you go. Listen, praying was going to happen.
This is good.
Regardless.
I like what we did. Do you know you got eaten by a shark last week, Ben?
I got eaten by a shark last week?
Did you know
That's what I said.
Yeah, you were eaten by a shark.
No?
Yeah, I told all our audience that you were eaten by a shark during Shark Week last week.
Oh,
You were the prey.
I was the prey.
And then it was really awkward when you showed up in the comments later.
I'm in the hospital.
Yeah, because I only saw like a little bit, and I was trying to stay awake, and I was like, I gotta go to bed because it was like 11 o'clock my time when you guys were recording.
Oh yeah, that's a time.
That's
zone.
normal time for us, actually. It's just strange that it happened the other way.
Yeah, because it was like, oh God, it was like an 8-hour time difference where I was. But anyways, hi guys, I missed you.
I missed you too, bud. Glad you're here.
You're okay.
Oh well, screw you then.
Now, why don't we hold off on your week by telling some links that we have in the description?
Yes, let's do that.
Well, my Screen Rant stuff is in the description. A spoiler for an upcoming list because I did not publish anything this week. I wrote a Prey list, which ranked all the Predator films, 7 if you include the Alien vs. Predator films, which I did, and by Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm shocked that both Alien vs. Predator films, not the last one, not Requiem, most of the second one, the first one, ended up under The Predator.
Yeah,
I don't agree.
I would not agree.
I don't agree.
I like that first AVP film. It's fun.
Me too. I like it. I like it about on par with Predator 2, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
What did
that's
you think about that?
yeah. I've been thinking a lot about it.
I love that.
I watched
That
Predator
third
2.
look, the third act of AVP is some of my favorite stuff with Predator franchise, where like they just have respect between the female human and the Predator hunter. And it's like, yo, we gotta kill this queen.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's some good
You're right.
like
You're right.
franchise stuff.
I also really
Super
like
strong.
I also really like Grid, the alien in that film.
Yeah.
That's like such an
Oh, yeah.
iconic look for that creature. I'm so into it.
Yeah, the one where who got trapped by the net and whose blood melted the net.
Yeah, really like that. Really like that.
That
And
is
also-
a really cool alien design.
Has probably one of the best movie taglines. Whoever wins, we lose. That's
Yeah,
really good.
that's
That's
pretty good.
I have to admit, like, it's pretty baller.
Yeah.
Mag is in the description saying hello.
Hello, sir.
Hey, bud.
Hello, sir. Yeah. So, I'll give you Requiem. I don't think Requiem's a good movie.
Right.
I think Alien vs. Predator is though, and I think people are too harsh on it. I especially think it is. I don't like it as much as I like. I like it more than I like the Predator. I think really turned on the Predator recently.
I think Alien versus Predator also comes at that time when like you still see both these franchises. I think this is an interesting part of what we're going to talk about with Prey also, where you still see these franchises as mostly horror based, and AVP is an action film with these franchise characters, not a horror movie. It's the same reason why like, but it worked in AVP, and it's the same reason why like Freddy versus Jason didn't work, because Freddy versus Jason was also more an action film than a horror film, which just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I think the Predator and the Aliens can work in an action setting because some of their best movies, I mean, all the Predator films and Aliens are action horror hybrids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th aren't. They're just horror films.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, I liked that. That was fun. That was a fun thought to go down, Sparks. Thank you.
I remember I was beyond hyped for AVPR because they're like, we're back to rated R. So much fun. So they showed a Red Band trailer for its first trailer. And like one of the kills was like, we're back, baby. And then I couldn't see the movie at all for an hour and a half. And I'm like, who allowed this?
Predator 2 I'll talk about it. I'll talk more about Predator 2 when we talk about Prey. But like Predator 2 has a really good kill that I was so into, and it's not the want some candy. That's good. That's very good. But it's the one where like the voodoo doctor gets killed, and it's just like you just see the standoff, and then you just cut to the guys screaming, and then it's the severed head walking into the ship. That's pretty good.
Check out our Yaucha franchise discussion some time ago. I think when the Predator came out.
It was like 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I should have linked that below, but that's available. Check it out. Anyway, back to this. I did an Infinity Saga piece was published this week. I'd written that before I left, and it was just published. So there's not a new one for a bit. I apologize, but this one is about one of, if not my favorite moment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the after party, which is the Avengers just drinking together at trying to lift Thor's hammer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is an incredible moment, and I think it is an important moment. One of the just a moment that I lament that we never got more of.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote about that. That's linked below. You can check that out. If it was closer to when I wrote it, I had more to say, but it's been a couple weeks. And then Grayson Live has 2 videos that Ben Magnet did while he was gone. So this is 51, the finale of your run of Super Mario World, 3D World.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did a blackjack. But you weren't here to talk about the 6 episodes that were published while we were kind of off, which led up to this. So if you want to talk about any of those, go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to remember exactly what we were talking about in those episodes, to be perfectly honest, because my brain's been shut off from all work stuff while the past few weeks. So what I do remember is like we talked a little bit about like we talked about Final Fantasy a little bit. We talked about why I started Base Arcade pause menu, and I want to say with the blackjack one, I told him about how I started playing blackjack when I would go to like casinos or like to Vegas and Laughlin, and how I technically started gambling illegally because I was technically underage, and yet I won money. And then when I gambled as a legal adult, I lose money. So that's a weird paradigm shift.
They took pity on you.
It's like, yeah, kids, don't gamble underage. That's illegal.
Ben, real quick.
But
that's really funny. I've never been to Vegas, but my grandparents took me to Laughlin when I was underage, and that's basically old person Vegas.
It is.
So I also gambled illegally until someone came up to me and was like, "Can I see your ID?" "Oh, I left it in my room. I'll be right back." And then I did.
Do you remember the Hugh Jackman show Viva Laughlin?
No.
I remember seeing commercials about it.
Yes.
Yeah, Sparks knows what I'm talking about. It's a remake of a British show called Blackpool with David Tennant. It's a kind of a jukebox musical, but they play the song. It's like karaoke musical. They play the song and then they sing with the song as it's playing. Hugh Jackman had a guest star appearance in the first episode because he was a producer on it.
Oh,
it's quite bad.
Oh no.
I mean, Laughlin is just like Laughlin is where you go when you're too old for Vegas. So
it's one of those shows that got killed very quickly, and you're kind of like, yeah,
that makes sense. Blackpool was a 6-part miniseries that David Tennant was a part of. That's all right. That's pretty good.
Nice. But yeah, I am also happy to say that that's not the last time me and Grace are going to hang out and do more stuff. So more stuff's coming in the future.
Woo!
Yeah, you guys, you talked about what you talked about, but you didn't talk about what the videos were. Your last 2 videos were you 2 trying to beat Bowser.
Yeah.
And as a cat, like Cat Bowser is the final boss of that, right?
Cat Bowser is the final boss.
Yeah. Good series. Good job, Ben.
Thank you.
That's everything. So why don't we let Ben talk about his trip to Europe?
All right. I didn't know I was going to go first. I thought I was going to go last. So,
nope.
Man. So as you guys know, the day before I left, I got sick with COVID, which sucks because I missed like a good chunk of it. So I wasn't able to go to Disneyland Paris. I wasn't able to enjoy all that. Fanny did though. So she said, apparently the roller coasters in Disneyland Paris are awesome. Like Space Mountain is the best Space Mountain. Phantom Manor is 10 times scarier. They have the best Big Thunder Railroad.
Wait, Phantom Manor?
Yeah, that's their version of Haunted Mansion. They call it the Phantom Manor. It's in their Frontierland, and it has a storyline where the whole thing is set in like an abandoned like the guy who owned Big Thunder Manor or Big Thunder Mountain, the gold mine there, that's his manor. And stuff went bad, and the house is cursed, and there's like a bride who was
That was
there's like a bride who was supposed to get married, but her husbands keep dying before they can take their vows, so she's haunting the house.
That sounds awesome.
I really dig this. This sounds great.
No, I was watching when I was homesick, I was watching a lot of stuff on Disney Plus. I watched the first Evangelion movie, and I was watching a lot of Behind the Attractions because an episode of Behind the Attraction, they don't just talk about the one attraction, they talk about it in all the Disney parks. So I was trying to vicariously experience Disneyland Paris through that. And they talked about the Phantom Manor there. They talked about their Space Mountain because, Discoveryland is Paris's version of Tomorrowland, and it's all steampunk Jules Verne style. But apparently it's really cool. And I was also very bitter because their Avengers Campus just opened up, and they have Flight Force, which is the best ride there.
They have French Captain America.
They have
Captain Marvel.
They have French Iron Man, but Carol Danvers speaks English. So when I was watching on Fanny's Instagram, because Iron Man is speaking in French, but Carol Danvers, who's played by Brie Larson, is speaking in English. So you got that little parallel. But it is funny because when they go on the Web Slingers, Tom Holland is speaking French.
That's because there's a mask. They can.
Well, this is the same with the Ant-Man ride in Hong Kong. Is Evangeline Lilly and Paul Rudd are speaking English because you can see them, and then the doctor character that they've put in is speaking Mandarin, and so is Iron Man.
Yeah. Well, for Web Slingers, because the opening part of Web Slingers where you see Tom Holland not in a mask, he's still speaking French. So I don't know.
So
I don't know if they just dub over him or that's actually him speaking French. I have no idea.
So the rides they have there are Web Slingers and what's the
Flight Force?
Flight Force.
And we don't have Flight Force. We just have Web Slingers.
We have Web Slingers and technically Guardians.
Is Guardians technically our second ride? I thought we would have another ride in Avengers Campus.
There's still supposed to be one more ride. There's a big Avengers ride that's supposed to. That one is supposed to be a universal ride in the sense of all the Avengers campuses at all the parks will have this Avengers ride. But it hasn't been finished for any of the parks yet. But it's that big building at the front of Avengers Campus, like where they're standing on usually when they're doing the photos and all that. It's supposed to be in that building.
Oh, okay.
So there's going to be a ride eventually in that building. That's my understanding.
Okay, and so Orlando does Orlando have Web Slingers also?
Orlando doesn't have Avengers Campus.
No, Orlando has Orlando just opened an Epcot, the new Guardians ride.
Yes, the new Guardians ride in Epcot, but Orlando will not, at least for the time being, will not have an Avengers campus.
Avengers ain't going to Florida.
Well, the Avengers are already in Florida. It's technically Marvel's Superhero Island at Universal's Islands of Adventure.
That's true.
But that's why it's not a Disney here.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's Disney Paris, Hong Kong,
and California that have the Avenger.
Tokyo, right? Tokyo and
Tokyo.
I want to say there's
only 3.
No,
I thought it was only Hong Kong, Paris, and us.
You keep talking, and I'm going to look it up.
I wonder if you know the Avengers in Tokyo.
Either way, to say I was a little bit bitter is a bit of an understatement. But luckily, I was able to get over it. I tested negative, so I was able to safely travel from LA to London. I was able to make it for a good majority of the trip. So I was still able to go overseas and enjoy it. I have to say, on the flight there, I did watch a few on the flight there and back. Brandon, you were not wrong about the bad guys. I watched the bad guys on the plane.
It's good.
That is an amazing movie.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. I saw it was available for me to watch. I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and watch. Because I rewatched Spider-Man. I rewatched Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give the bad guys a shot. And I'm watching this. I'm like, damn, this is great. I love
that opening shot. That opening shot is going around on Twitter. It's great. And it's actually really impressive. And I was watching that movie and I turned to Zara and I go, oh my God, this could be good. Because the trailers suck. The trailers are terrible.
I completely wrote that movie off, but then the more when I find, because I remember you were saying how good of a movie it was, and there was on the plane. I'm like, you know, I'm finally gonna give this a watch. Oh my God, this movie was great. So you're 100% right. The movie's great. Another movie I finally saw, but I want to watch it again because it was edited for the cursing, was Game Night.
Oh, that's a rated R movie.
Yeah, it's a rated R movie, but for some reason, on my flight back from London to Calgary, because I had a layover in Calgary, WestJet decided to heavily edit Game Night But the other movie I watched, Ford v Ferrari, wasn't edited. But Game Night's amazing. I was laughing my ass off. I definitely want to rewatch it with all the actual swearing instead of them saying cheese and crackers or mother trucker every other word.
How is that profitable for Frito-Lay, Ben?
I don't know.
Greatest
There
line
was
in a
a-
movie.
I didn't know Jesse Plemons was in that movie, and he plays. I forgot how good of a. He wasn't an antagonist, but he was just so creepy in that movie.
He's so good.
The Fabergé egg sequence plays in my mind all the time. But my favorite gag is when they're trying to get the bullet out of Jason Bateman, and they're just like,
Their chemistry together is. I love Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman together. They have great chemistry on screen.
oh
That
no,
was such a-
he died.
So yeah, those are the movies I saw on the plane that I'd never seen before that I finally did. So
You
yay.
saw Ford v Ferrari. That's a pretty good movie. I like that one a lot.
Oh, I really enjoyed Ford v Ferrari. That was a
Yeah.
really good one. So London or England, it is. I gotta say, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm not gonna talk about the entire trip because there was still so much. A lot of pictures are up on my Instagram page. You can go check that out. But I want to talk specifically about walking down Abbey Road.
Hmm.
That was one of the things I wanted to do because I only had about a half day in London because I missed the first full day. But we were able to make it out there. I walked down it. I even have the little keychain that says I walked the crossing. I did the picture. I have some souvenirs, and it was kind of surreal walking down where John, Paul, George, and Ringo did, because the studio was right there. The studio has a bunch of graffiti on the outside walls, and actually there wasn't a huge crowd there because when we were walking, one of the people in our group was saying that I did this before, and there's probably going to be a big crowd. There's a lot of traffic, so we have to be careful of the traffic because the locals hate it when people do this. It wasn't that bad.
I can imagine living on that road and just being like, fucking tourists.
Yeah,
You Beatles.
pretty much. But thankfully, I mean, there wasn't a stoplight, but there was times where there was no cars going out, and then the other people who were there to take the famous photo walking down the street, they were watching, and when a car would come, they would yell "car," and we would all scatter.
I feel like don't live on Abbey Road if you don't want to have to deal with that tourism thing.
Or at least don't live close to the
like
studio. I mean, you
people
can
who
live on
live
Abbey Road. You just have to live the farther away from the studio you are, the safer you are.
It's kind of like people who live on golf courses and get mad that golf balls hit their houses sometimes. I'm like, well, don't live on a golf course.
After a while, this is a you problem.
I learned something about Abbey Road. You can't just go and visit it. You actually have to pay for a tour.
Yeah, you have to pay. But luckily, the gift shop is open. Like the gift shop's open to the public, so
we can go buy something for a place you can't visit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can cross the crosswalk.
I looked at the
yeah.
crossing from a distance of about 50 feet.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's all forced perspective. I wasn't actually on the crosswalk. We made it look like I was. Like, you know,
Peter Jackson's
holding
there
the Eiffel
24 hours
Tower.
a day.
God, that'd be really funny.
Yeah, so I got to go on the crosswalk. I also got to see the Houses of Parliament for about 20 minutes because we didn't have a whole lot of time in London. But the thing I got to see...
Was V there?
What's up?
Was V there? Gonna destroy Parliament?
No, I didn't see V.
Damn.
I saw the clock tower, though.
Big
Is that set in the past now?
Technically, yes, I think.
I don't know.
Maybe it is. Anyway, sorry, Ben.
Yeah. But the other thing I saw that was really cool was the same day, before we got to London, was you can't really see, but I saw Stonehenge. This is my little mini model that I got from Stone.
Oh, that's actually really adorable.
Yeah.
What is a Stonehenge?
I don't know. It's just a bunch of stones in the ground. I love it because when we went, I love how when we got to like the site, our tour guide said, "Hey, spoiler alert, we still don't know why it's there. We don't know what it's for. We don't know what it is."
Sorry,
I don't know how that's a spoiler.
V for Vendetta is set in 2020. We're 2 years out from it.
Oh,
no.
We made it.
We did it, guys.
Yeah, we did it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, seeing Stonehenge was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Seeing this national monument that's been standing for millions of years or thousands, millions of years, however long.
Also, probably thousands.
Yeah, probably thousands. But even then, we went to a bunch
You
of
don't know why the dinosaurs built Stonehenge.
just a
They're
T-Rex.
just chairs.
Yeah, seeing Stonehenge was, I'm not gonna lie, seeing Stonehenge was really cool because we see it on TV all the time, but to actually see it live and in person, it's like, man, this is like a marvel of the ancient world. How these people were able to, how the people who were here before were able to make this monument into what it was, and it's still mostly standing thousands of years later, is still a testament to like, this is pretty cool.
It is. It is one of those things you're like, what's going on here, y'all? For real though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe in like ancient aliens. Like, I believe like aliens far away, but I'm like, what's really going on with all these big rocks? Come on.
I mean,
the Dark World has a good explanation. It's it's all about like making convergence things. I don't remember what he was saying.
Stephen King has a really interesting little comic that's based off Stonehenge. It doesn't take place actually in Stonehenge, but it uses the idea of a long-standing stone Colosseum like that to like, that's how you slip out of reality, and like an alternate demon connects with you and takes over.
That's cool.
I just think that's neat.
Can you
That's
pull
cool.
up
I like that.
Grayson's comment? I think it's funny.
Yeah, Grayson live in the comment. Hello, sir.
Hey, Grayson.
Oh,
It's the Dino's first attempt at dominoes, not very successful.
Yeah, we perfected dominoes after them. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Ben, you saw Big Ben.
I did. I saw Big Ben. That was really cool to see. Like,
Am I misremembering, or was that like one of the things? Like, I gotta see Big Ben.
No, that was one of the things I wanted to see.
Okay, why?
Because his name's Ben.
Yeah,
Is that really it?
it really is.
Jesus.
Listen, there was a restaurant called Ryan's that I refused to go to because I feel like they would just be like, wow, your name's Ryan. And that was not the case at all. They didn't care about me.
I was talking to that's a pretty good story. I was talking to my mother about it, and I was like, yeah, he was like really excited to go see Big Ben, and we were both kind of mystified because it's a clock, and we were just kind of like, what I've seen clocks, and it's like, I was like, and my mom was like, is it because his name is Ben? Like, that can't be it. It's got to be more. You're
like
clock aficionado.
You're like, is it because he loved the Disney Peter Pan so much, and that's like a focal point of the opening? Like, oh, I just really want to go there and see it. No, his name's Ben.
Do you love Benjamin Franklin?
I mean, I love the $100 bill.
Well, that's good.
Who doesn't?
You got me there. You got me there.
Okay, I mean, besides the fact that, because when I was a kid, my parents used to joke that I was named after the clock tower, even though I know it's not, because the full name is technically Big Bentley. And they just call it
Bentley.
Yeah, I only know that because of Cars 2.
Big Bentley sounds like a porn star name.
Wait, did you just say you only know that because of Cars 2?
Yeah, Michael Caine says it when him and Mater are stuck inside the clock tower. I was like, oh, that's the full name. All right.
Oh, that's not real. Bentley's a car. There's no way it's actually called Big Bentley.
Or maybe not. Either way.
Ben taking Cars 2 jokes.
No way.
To be
I was just believe
historical.
that too.
Either way.
Okay. It's not. It's called Elizabeth Tower.
It's not even called Ben.
It's not even called
Who's
Ben.
Ben? Why is he so big?
Okay, Big Ben is the name given to the massive bell inside the clock tower, which weighs more than 13. It's not even the clock. It's the bell.
I'm so glad that this happened. Ben went there and learned nothing about it. He's like, I want to see it because it's called Big Ben.
Literally, I only went because I only had like half a day in London. I only had half a day. I wasn't even able to see any of my friends.
No time to read.
No, we got off the train. I looked up, I saw the clock tower. We went on the bridge. We took a photo. We left.
I just imagine
more
like
about
sprinting
Big
from the
Ben.
train. I gotta get to Big Ben.
You've learned more about Big Ben in these past 30 seconds than you did in London.
I have spent my whole life
I'm gonna-
thinking the clock was named Big Ben when it's actually a bell. And then her
I mean,
name
that kind of makes sense that the Big Bentley thing was a joke. Wow, I'm a fucking idiot.
And
Anyway.
I'm gonna be thinking about the Big Bentley thing for a long time.
Oh, how many people have you told that it's called Big Bentley to? That's what I want to know.
No, only you guys.
Everybody on the trip.
Only you guys and whoever's in the chat. I have.
He's just on a bus in London, so did you know it was called Big Bentley?
No, thankfully I didn't say that.
I'm so happy. This is great.
Oh, great. Yep,
Grayson, pull up Grayson's comment.
All right, I'll pull it up. Thank you so much. Oh my god! But But yeah, I mean, besides the fact that we share the same name, I did want to see the tower because it's the biggest or one of the biggest monuments in London, and I wanted to see it because I want to see it for my own eyes. Because you always see it on TV, you always see it in movies everywhere, but to see it live, it was something else. It was really cool to see.
I wanna bring up Grayson's other comment that you didn't bring up. I want everyone to see this. So technically, Ben still hasn't seen Big Ben, if that's the name of the bell. LOL. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Big Ben was completed in 1859. That's a fun fact. Sorry, Elizabeth Tower. Sorry, died a bell. I don't know about the bell.
Anyways, one of the coolest things about England, I have to say, as England as a whole, not the fact that I went and saw a clock tower and you guys are going to give me shit for it for the rest of my life, I can already tell, was how ancient the country was.
Mhm.
We were in abbeys. We were in this place called Buckfast Abbey that was built in 1056 or something around there. It was built in the 11th century.
Oh, I love that.
And a lot of the churches we went to were built in like the 11th, 12th, or 13th centuries, and they're still standing. There was this place in Exeter, England, where it actually had tombs, like gravestones along the walls, and those whatchamacallit, and they had actual memorial tombs where they carved the person's likeness on top of the grave.
Catacomb.
Yeah,
Cool.
essentially, like the whole level felt like an Elden Ring catacomb, to be perfectly honest, or the whole church felt like an Elden Ring catacomb.
That's like legitimately one of the only reasons. Like, I would love to visit other countries to see, beautiful vistas and like the culture, but like, I want to see architecture that's not like 100 to 300 years old, because all of America is not that old. And I would love to see like, wow, this thing was built like 1,000 years ago. Holy shit! Like, that's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was in a church that was built when the Romans were there. We went to Tintagel, England, which is where allegedly the legend of King Arthur was born.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon, I got you something for there, so let me know what your mailing address is so I can send it to you.
It's 123 go F yourself.
Oh, okay.
I'll take it if he doesn't want it, but I'm not going to tell you it on air.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was really bummed because we were only in that town for an hour.
Wait, don't you have my address?
You've
been to my house.
I have been to your house, yeah.
I've been to your house. I don't know your address.
Anyway, well, I definitely need his because when I asked you guys if anyone wanted anything specific from England, Ryan told me very specifically that he wanted the Queen.
Oh my God! Did you kidnap the Queen and she's behind us and we can't see
What's
it
about
right
to
now?
happen? Yes.
Man, you just made me so happy. Oh my
Don't
God.
worry, this isn't the only thing I got you, Ryan. I got you something else too.
I would have taken that regardless.
You're gonna get. This is just a postcard. I got you something else too. It's a little trinket, but it does have her face on it. So I got you the Queen, Ryan.
Before he did that, because this is a Predator, discussion, I was gonna say he's just gonna pick up the Queen's head, like just hold it up, like fine and all. I brought you the Queen.
Boy, this has been the best nonsense section in a long time.
I want you guys to know that ever since we did our last 5-year special, I have a note where I'm keeping track of certain things that happen in episodes for future trivia things.
Oh no!
And I promise you, what just happened is in that trivia.
Yes,
I will never forget Big Bentley.
yes.
Also, I got all three of you guys a little something from England.
I want you to know, Ben. Thank you. I sent Sparks a text telling him to send this entire exchange to Michael.
Oh, I'm gonna tell him all about it after.
All right, so yeah, London was absolutely gorgeous. England itself as a country was absolutely stunning. We went to coastal towns. We saw the Atlantic. We saw so many gorgeous.
Do you have beans on toast? Beans on toast? Do you have beans on toast in the morning?
No, but I did have fish and chips, and oh man, the food was amazing.
I work at a place that sells
so good.
fish and chips.
Ben, you were talking about like the ancient feeling of the town.
Yeah.
Did you walk over a lot of cobblestone roads?
I walked over one, and that was in Exeter. Not a whole lot.
How was it? Did it roll your ankles a lot?
No. It wasn't technical cobblestone, but it was like stone road.
Oh,
and
okay.
even our tour guide was saying about how annoying it is to fix those type of roads because, it's a historical landmark. They can't really change it. They have to like make it as is.
Mm-hmm.
But oh man, it's like it definitely, you know, that those flip flops where they're supposed to massage your feet as you walk on them. Think that, but more intense.
Yeah. That's what I've heard is like they can be quite awful to walk over for, like, especially for long periods of time.
Oh yeah. Thankfully it was only for a small little bit, and then we were able to go onto more flat surface. But yeah, you can definitely feel how ancient and how fantastical England, even just in a normal town. I was on the train to meet up with Fanny and the tour guide, and there's this town called Bath. That's what it's called. It's famous because they have the Roman baths that the Romans built. And just when my train rolled up into Bath, I just looked out. It looked like a medieval town. And there are still buildings from medieval times, from the 16th century, that are still standing. And it was... The whole time I felt like I was in a fantasy movie. I felt like I should have been walking around in an armor with a sword on my hip the whole time. Yeah, and Fanny, thank you, honey. Fanny was just saying Elden Ring. Like the whole time we were seeing these grand statues, or these grand churches, or these grand spires, or even the castles. I got to go inside a place called Dunster Castle that was originally built as a fortress, and then it turned into a family home in the 1920s. And the outside looks absolutely stunning. I'm like, this is freaking Elden Ring. I am walking into a literal Elden Ring level right now, and it's gorgeous.
Bro, you're right.
Yeah.
You can't see. It's gonna be hard. No, that's straight up like forests with castles and shit. You can see with the green screen. No, that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, it was absolutely stunning. I can't wait to go back. I was super thankful that I was even able to go in the first place because I was sick the first half. I was sick essentially the first half, but when I was actually able to make it, it was absolutely stunning. And the people were there very kind. They were really nice, actually. And then obviously they picked up on the accents, and they're like, "Hey, so where are you guys from?" I was like, "Oh, we're from California." They're like, "Oh, are you here on holiday?" And like, "Yep, we're here and just enjoying our vacation."
I was gonna make a bad joke, like, do they speak English over there?
Yeah. So I mean, a whole bunch of photos are up on my Instagram. It was truly an amazing trip, and I am so happy I was able to make that journey. And I got to go back. There are so many things out there I wasn't able to see. There's so many places I still want to go up in Northern England and even in Scotland.
Or France.
Yeah, France as well. So, yeah, it was an amazing trip. And also the whole time I was there, I was like, I need to find a gift shop because I really wanted to get Ryan an action figure of the Queen, and I couldn't find one, and I was pissed. But I did find him a Queen, so here you go.
Thank you, sir. I'm truly excited to get her in. I was about to say to get that Queen in my bedroom, but that's a weird thing to say. Indubitably.
Also, a lot of dogs in England too. Like a lot of people were walking their dogs, and a lot of places were open so you can bring your dogs inside. It was so chill. All right, one more quick thing. So my first night there, I was in the city of Bristol, and Fanny and I had some free time to ourselves. I'm like, you know what? I want to do something for Oracle for Fusion. And I found an arcade. I found an arcade in Bristol called Four Quarters. And of course, the English currency there is the English pound for their bills and pence for their coins, right? And we walk in there, and I'm looking around at the arcade machines. They have a lot of great arcade machines. They have consoles downstairs. And I'm looking around. I was like, wait a minute. These things take quarters? And we're talking to a local. He's like, yeah, these things, we take American quarters here. It's like, we don't have American quarters. It's like, well, where are you from? America? Why don't you have American quarters? It's like, I'm in another country, dude.
That's interesting.
That's really
strange. We found a bar called Four Quarters that you can pay, like you can tell them, like, hey, I want 10 pounds worth of American quarters, and they'll give you like $12 in American quarters or something like that.
Interesting.
They'll like do an exchange rate, and they'll give you American quarters so you can play on the arcade machines.
That's super. That's really funny and cool.
Yeah.
And it's almost like our coin is actually like a token over there. Almost.
Yeah.
Because like you wouldn't expect you actually need American money in another country.
Nope.
But that's actually pretty cool.
Oh no!
I'm really glad that it needs quarters, because if it was called Four Quarters and it didn't take quarters, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
6 pence doesn't sound quite as good.
Yeah. Still, it was still a bit of a culture shock, because there were times where they're like, okay, cool, here's like £1, and they gave me a coin, and it's a £1 coin. I'm like, you guys don't have a £1 note? And they're like, no, the lowest we go is 5. So they have a 1 pound coin and a 2 pound coin. That's as high as they go. And then if you need 3 pounds, well, you either just give them 1 and a 2 or good luck.
We know math.
I don't like I'm glad we don't do a major coin system because I don't want a bunch of change in my pocket.
Yeah, I still have quite a bit of pence left, but other than that, England was amazing. Had an absolute blast, and yeah, can't wait to go back.
Welcome back, sir. Who wants to go next?
Vacation.
I will. I only have 3 things I want to talk about.
Do it.
I didn't have a ton of time for a lot of stuff. I'm still catching up on Shark Week and all that, but I did finish Hunter x Hunter, which I talked about last week. I'm going to talk about a little bit more because I'm done with it and I don't want to spoil. Yes, Ben.
One more thing, I caught up on Spy Family when I was sick.
Cool.
I watched all the way up to episode 12 of Spy Family, and that show's amazing. I love it.
That's a really good show. Spy Family is really good.
It is. It really is.
So Hunter x Hunter, I finished it, and I just want to talk about. They found a very incredible way in the writing to have a very important big villain, very powerful, essentially get taken off of the board without anybody ever actually they don't just make this villain strong. They make it literally nobody on the planet can beat this person. That's how strong this person has become. They have become so strong, nobody will ever beat them. And you're like, man, how are they going to get out of this one? And they found a way to take the person off the board without ever breaking the rule that they were, in fact, the most powerful thing on the planet. And nobody ever gets stronger and surpasses them. They found a very good, emotional, powerful way to end the story without anybody ever actually surpassing them. And as far as the world is concerned, they're pretty much the pinnacle of power. And probably nobody in the future will ever top it either. It's ultimately practically invincible. And I'm very impressed with how they found a way to do that. I don't want to spoil how, but I was shocked.
That's really cool.
I just you don't see that a lot in shonen where they find a way to be we have told you this is how power scaling kind of works, and there's ranges and everything, but this person is the top. It's not just oh man, we really gotta figure this out. It's insurmountable.
One Punch Man.
And it'll stay that way. Right, but you don't usually get it with a villain, and
I just mean he can't be beat.
Yeah,
well,
and it's just
you had this idea with because I know you mentioned Dragon Ball as a bit of a comparison last week, but if there's a stronger villain, Goku will get stronger and beat him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how the show works. But
this
is
very much
really interesting.
This is very much if in the Majin Buu arc of Dragon Ball, if Majin Buu had just stayed completely unbeatable, and then the way that it was resolved was because Hercule made him his best friend.
Oh yeah.
And that's how it was de-escalated, but nobody ever actually beat Buu or became more powerful than Buu. That's kind of what it's like. It's as if, well, nobody ever actually was able to beat this person.
Austin Walker, who I know you follow.
Yeah,
Spark,
I've seen it too.
He tweeted something about hey, I heard that the Chimera Ant arc is wild, but this scene is truly insane, and it's just one of the villains explaining shit, and there's
it's not
grass.
It's not a villain. It's
not a villain? Okay.
No, it's going to be, he is another Nen user that Gon and Killua need to prove they can beat him in order to go on the mission, because otherwise they're not up to the task. And this is one of those times where I reference they fail. They do fail to beat him, and they don't get to go on the mission. They are not deemed qualified at the time. So it's very, very cool that they do stuff like that.
It's him explaining the different power levels, and our main character is just being overwhelmed, and steam's coming out of his ears and nose. I'm this is a lot to unpack. It was really funny.
Yeah. Super great show. Highly recommend it. It is unfortunate that the manga is not done, so the anime stops. It stops with an open ending. It's it's a nice ending point, but there's a lot of loose strings still out there. And they're very clear about that. They didn't try to find their own way to an ending. They were just these things are still out there. Hopefully one day the manga will finish and the anime will also be picked up back up and finished. But a solid venture. I really enjoyed myself thoroughly with it. Just very, very different kind of writing for shonen characters than you usually see. It kind of zigs where a lot of the tropes zag.
Mm-hmm.
I only had time really for 2 games this week, and I spent most of it with Multiversus, and Multiversus is real cool, and
It's the one game I played.
like I could just sing its praises more, but it's woo Multiversus, guys.
Real quick, I just want to say one thing that I do want to expand on. Still a great game. I think the free-to-play model is excellent because I always feel like even though I've done the battle pass, I'm always earning gold every single match. So I can clearly see it will take me a while, but I can unlock every single character for free. Every single one. It will take you many hours, but it is entirely free to play in the best model. I think its business model is insane. Just like Fortnite, I am going to be spending too much money on this game because I want to support the hell out of it. It is such a good game where it's just like I have nothing left to do, but I'm still playing the game because I've done all the missions for the season and yada yada. But the gameplay is just so good. I just want to play this game all the time.
Right. Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I think that model of free to play works very well. That you can unlock the characters just by playing the game, I think is a really well made decision. Nobody's locked behind a paywall, not as a playable character, and that they let you try anything out before you do spend your in-game currency on it, because you can take any character, any variant, anything into the lab. Even if you haven't unlocked it, and test it out and see if you like it before you put anything into it, whether that's actual money or in-game currency. So yeah, really great. Really like Multiversus. Can't wait for you guys to touch it. But I played another game, just a little bit, very, very much like 2.5 hours, I think, total time with it. I got into the closed network test for Dragon Ball: The Breakers.
Oh,
For those who don't know, Dragon Ball: The Breakers is the kind of Dead by Daylight style game for Dragon Ball, which is a wild concept. I think it's very bold to try. The execution is okay, bordering on not great. This is the Xenoverse team, so all of the mechanics are This is essentially a Xenoverse spinoff, if I'm honestly. So the premise when you start the game is that Trunks from Xenoverse, the Time Patroller, has saved you from being ripped into a temporal seam where the villains are attacking you. So you've been ripped out of your own time into this environment. And they don't know why it's happening to the people it's happening to, and they're trying to figure that out. So they take you to a new building area in Toki Toki City. And they are trying to figure out why these temporal seams are happening and how to prevent them, because they will just appear and suck you in. And you'll have to find your own way to escape back to Toki Toki City. That is the premise, essentially. And where you are in your hub of your offshoot in that city is where you can pick your gear, do all that stuff, sign up for matchmaking. So the way the system works is that it seems to be, if you select your priority, if you select your preference, so, I want to be a villain, right? Which is called a raider. You will not get it on the first time you select it. The way that it works is that you have to play a match, and then you get a priority ranking of 1. If you play another match, you get a priority ranking of 2. Somewhere in 2 or 3, because you've played 2 or 3 matches as a citizen, you'll get to play a raider. So you kind of have to earn the raider, which I think is their way of making sure, because it requires more citizens than Dead by Daylight does. It requires 7 for a match.
Wait, that's a lot.
Yeah, so you have 8 total players because it requires 7 survivors. Frankly, almost not enough. And it requires 7 survivors. So I think that's to make sure that there's always enough survivors for people to be playing the game. So I think this is actually pretty smart. I understand where it can be frustrating if you hop in, you want to play a match as a villain right away. You can't. But I do think the priority system works. Where it failed me is the first time I finally got a raider. Once I got in, I scurried around for a little bit, and then the game was over because all the survivors had quit. And that was my raider match. So I won, but I didn't get to do anything. And then I went back to priority level 0. So that sucked. And it took me a while to get back to being a raider again, to try it.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer. But I do think like something that I think they're probably going to do is issue punishments for canceling in a match like mid-match. Like you can back out earlier, but not in the match.
Mhm.
That would make sense because that was a bummer. That just threw away my Raider match at first. Let's see. I want to touch on that. The Raiders are too strong. They just are. And really what it comes down to is one main thing. It's just too damn hard to get around the terrain. The map is big, as it should be. You are essentially playing, if you've played Xenoverse, you're playing essentially those same mechanics. You just don't have special abilities. But the movability, your character model, all that kind of stuff is very Xenoverse similar. The map is just really big and you can't fly. And there are vehicles and stuff that you can find. And there's a grappler that you have equipped, but it has a cooldown. So you can grapple across the map, but you can only do that like, you got to use that well. Because sometimes you need it for escape and you have a cooldown on it for about 45 seconds. So the Raider is, Cell or Frieza or Boo, and they can just fly and go anywhere. And it's just too damn hard to get around the map as a survivor around them.
Are there cars or bikes or something you can jump on?
There are. Yes, okay. You can, but you have to find them. That's the thing. Like they're not immediately in your vicinity, so you have to find them, and finding them can be hard. You don't have a way to know where those vehicles are. So there's like capsule bikes that you can find and things like that. You can, when the shop is like fully up and running, purchase them, so you have a bike like right off the bat and you can throw it down and travel. Like that's great, but like you won't have that all the time. My general experience is I lost most of the matches I played as a survivor. I won one. I escaped one successfully. And I won both matches I played as a Raider. And I know it's stacked in the Raiders' favor because I did not do a good job playing as the Raider the second time when I got to play a full match. They should have beaten me. I was just so powerful it didn't matter that I was playing poorly. Because I was having trouble figuring out where to go and where they were and locking them down, and I got thrown off a couple times. They should have won, frankly, with how I played because it was my first time playing as the Raider, and they didn't because I was still just too damn strong.
So what's like the mission objectives? Because
so the mission objective. So you're in this temporal seam, and essentially what it is that you have to find Trunks. Time Patrol Trunks tries to help you by giving you these keys that are in the map, and they will activate the super time machine. And the super time machine cleans up the seam, so like anything that was destroyed is put back together, and the villain is erased from the area, and you're rescued. If the super time machine system fails, Trunks will send an emergency time machine later in the game. It's basically like the hatch mechanic in Dead by Daylight. So you have to go find the time machine, and then you have a limited amount of time to find it and get in it, and then you book it. And the thing is, like, if you're the player that finds it, you get it, and you can either try to save whoever else is left because you can see where they are on the map. You always see where the other survivors are. You can either try and grab some of them if you want to, or you can just bail and the game ends. So it's your choice because it takes a moment to charge up the time machine to escape. The only way I survived was because another player found that time machine and decided to scoop a bunch of us up. And that's how I got away, because they were nice. But they could have just ditched us. And so there's an amount of that. The other real detriment besides the terrain is there's no in-game chat. So I can't talk to anybody. And not being able to talk to anybody on such a big map is not helpful. You can put down like, oh, here's a beacon for a thing that people are searching for, but that's about the amount of communication you have. And it's just hard. Look, it's fun in a sense, and it'll probably benefit from a lot of people talking about what doesn't work in these tests, and they'll improve certain things. But frankly, it being trapped in the Xenoverse game engine means that like it's just not going to be what I wish it could be, which is like it's not tense and scary. Like there's a more dedicated idea of a version of like escape the city while Cell is looking to absorb people that you could have done, and this is not that. Like something that goes for the Dead by Daylight tension and scare factor. But this just feels like, yeah, it tends to like not want to be found by the raider, but once you get found by the raider, like they give you tools to try and fight back, but like they all just delay the inevitable. The raider will get you. Like once they've got you, they've got you. You can do a thing where you can like summon a warrior spirit and like knock them back for a while, but unless you got something to get out of there quick or someone else comes to help you, you're probably dead.
I'm not gonna call this quite a cash grab, but after hearing you talk about it, I watched some footage earlier. This just doesn't look like it's it for me. Unless it's free and I can play with all of you, I'm not touching this game, to be honest.
So this is the reality, is that like I love Dragon Ball. I think that this concept is bold. I'm glad they're taking big swings with Dragon Ball instead of just like constantly just making fighter games. I think this was in concept a cool idea. The execution is so much so where I agree with Ryan. It's a $20 game, and even to me, that's like, I don't know, man. I don't know that I'd play it enough to warrant that price. Because the only version that I think I'd have a lot of fun with is playing with friends, and it requires 8 people total. So 7 of my friends have to have this game and want to play it.
That's a lot of people,
which is a high bar to clear. Yeah. And I mean, I guess you can play with a couple of other people, but like. So like 5 of my friends want to play. Great.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
As the villain, like if you're Frieza or Cell, you can evolve, right?
Yes. So this feature I do think is cool. Yeah. Cell. So the thing is, you can kill the raider if enough of you summon warrior spirits and gang up on the villain. You can kill them. You can beat them. They have a health bar and you can eliminate it if enough of you are throwing like warrior spirit kamehamehas at them. You can find items like you can find items like rocket launchers and Vegeta's gloves, which will do an amount of damage and knock them back. But generally, unless like 4 of you gang up on the raider at once, it's pretty hard to beat them. So it's not really a good strategy unless you all happen to be in an area and can like go for it. And you all have to have your stuff charged up or have picked up something like Vegeta's gloves where you get like a one-off Gallic gun or something like that. The map design is cool. I do like it. It's kind of this blend of a lot of different environments because that's what they're able to do with this like it's a temporal mess. So a lot of locations are mixing with each other. So there's parts of Namek mixing with parts of like the rock barren area that Goku and Vegeta first fight in, and the city area and the mountainous area. And so like all these things are blending. When you are the raider, if you can buy to enter as the raider at a higher form, because the stronger the raider gets, the more devastating moves they can do to the map or to the players. You can buy to enter in early. I think it's more fun. Frankly, I don't understand the point of that. I think you should always have to evolve. To be fair.
Speaking of evolve, that like just like the video game Evolve, if you start at level 3 with all your abilities, then what's even the challenge or the fun? The whole point is to be building up.
Exactly. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't know why they would do that. But yes, when I played both times as Cell. You enter in your larval stage. And in your larval stage, you can't do anything except skitter around the map and find civilians that are hiding in the map. I do think this part is cool. You can find the civilians, which the players can rescue. They can rescue them before you find them to try and delay how early you can evolve. Because you either evolve by attacking citizens or players, but you can't attack players in Cell's larval stage. You can only attack civilians. So you find a civilian, and then you launch on them, and you absorb them, and their clothes are left behind. And I'm like, well, this is cool. This is the shit that I think is really neat. Yeah. And then Cell evolves from his larval stage into his first form, and then he can still go and absorb people, but then he can start attacking the players too. And that takes a little bit, but I like it. It's a good setup phase. And I think it's really funny to go around in Cell's larval stage and do that. That stuff really works. But the thing is, once I get up to perfect Cell range, right? I could just blow up parts of the map. I can just start eliminating them. Oh yeah, you could just blow up zones. So I just start eliminating zones. I eliminated 2 zones that they needed. So they had to summon. Yep. So they had to summon the emergency time machine, and I blocked them from getting to it, and because there were only 2 survivors left, and I killed them. And they even got to make a wish on the Dragon Balls to summon Goku to help them, and I still beat Goku and
You
then
can
killed him.
collect. You can collect Dragon Balls in the
You
game.
can collect Dragon Balls. There are Dragon Radars that help you to track either. If you're the Raider, they help you to track civilians and Dragon Balls because the Raider can use Dragon Balls. If you are a player survivor, they help you to track the time keys that Trunks wants you to grab, Dragon Balls, and something else that I forget right now. It, like Ryan said, I think the good summation is that it's just there is fun to be had with it. If I was playing with friends, I could definitely have a good time. The mechanics are a little clunky still. In general, like the gameplay just doesn't feel the best when you're a survivor. When you're a raider, it's fine. But when you're a survivor, it's very easy to feel like you're just on your back foot the entire time. Not a lot of fun in that. Especially if you have a team that's just I'm not even going to blame like other people I was playing with. We can't communicate with each other. So like if you're just not being there for each other or not getting on the same tasks, it's just very hard to mount.
That's the thing. Like
to mount a defense.
It's a team game. Like you need to communicate if you want to live. Yeah.
And being comparable to Dead by Daylight, once you're found by the Raider, it's just pretty much impossible to get away. Whereas pretty much the only way to get away, I think, from the Raider is if you have Solar Flare equipped. If you have Solar Flare equipped and you aim it in the right direction, you probably can escape the Raider and hide. That's pretty much it, though.
This bums me out because like there's a lot of things that you've told me that like sound really cool, and I like the idea of this concept that finding Dragon Balls, playing as the Raider sounds cool with the evolutions, but like that really bums me out that it's so clunky that it might not work.
Yeah, it's frankly, it's just that the amount of fun I have playing as a survivor is nowhere near the amount of fun I have playing Dead by Daylight. And if I'm already doing this kind of game, why wouldn't I be doing Dead by Daylight or even Predator or Evil Dead? Like, why wouldn't I be playing these other games that seem to be executing on the idea better? If it's free on PS Plus or something, yeah, we should all get it. We should all have some fun with it. It can be a fun goof off game, but like in my opinion right now, I can't recommend spending $20 on this. And I say that as a hardcore Dragon Ball fan. I'm like, it's just not. It's the enjoyment for it is just not there.
Yeah.
What also interests me is like if they're spending a lot of their time doing this, I think I'd rather them just use Xenoverse 3. Because like that's your strength. Making a smaller game where you have less to do doesn't make sense in my opinion.
Frankly, I wish a different team had come at this idea than Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco makes all the Dragon Ball games, so I'm not shocked that didn't happen. But the fact that it's so locked to the Xenoverse gameplay engine is like, I think that's crippling it, frankly. I think if you really, really like made something wholly new with it, some wholly new idea of how scary it could be to hide from Cell. Because it's that trailer we watched is like they're chasing that vibe of when Cell first showed up. That's definitely 100% the inspiration for this game, and like you could have that, but this just doesn't capture that. It doesn't capture that feeling because it just feels bad. It just feels bad when you get caught by the Raider.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's it.
Ryan?
No, you can go.
Okay, I don't have much. I watched, I think you did too, Ryan, the Miss Marvel Assembled episode.
I did. I forgot I even watched that.
I thought that was cute. It's not the best of the Assembled. It's a fine one. It's I really like how they talk about making the style of the show, how they talk about how like this was the tone we were going for, and they talk about Amon's casting. I really hate when they talk about changing her powers because that was dumb. There is like you can spin it any way you want. You can make a fluff piece all you want about spinning the powers. The decision fundamentally was dumb.
Yeah, I agree. I do feel this is, but not in a bad way because the show is kind of fluffy too. Like this does feel a little fluffy, like, but not in a way where like them talking about how much fun they had and like how they actually like grew as a family. I buy all that, and that is true because like they did film this all in COVID. They all lived in the same apartment complex, shooting this thing for months. So like you actually see behind the scenes of them like being a family and like hanging out as friends. So like all that chemistry is so real. So like I enjoyed watching it, but I didn't really learn anything new, really, which is fine.
I agree with that. I think the benefit of the assembled episode comes from the cast and talking about casting them and talking about like Kamala Khan's influence as a comic book character, and just like there are a lot of behind the scenes like photos of them hanging out at the hotel that they were hanging out together offset and on, and there's a lot of good energy which it comes through in the show. And then they also talk about the directors, the directors of Bad Boys for Life. Forgot the two of their names, but like their influence coming on, and then the other two directors that directed the other episodes. Like there's some good stuff in it. It is a bit more fluffy, but it's not quite as fluffy as like some of the worst of the assembled episodes. It's still there's still value in watching it, I think.
I agree.
I meant to bring this up last week, but I discovered a new metal album that I'm like super obsessed with, and I wanted to bring it up a bit. It's called Embless Brothers of Metal, and they have 2 albums, and this is their second album, and it's all about Ragnarok, and it's just like kind of like this concept album, just like detailing the story of Ragnarok, starting with Loki, the birth of Loki's 3 children, Jormungandr, Hela, and Fenris, and then going through like the Fimbulwinter, and then stealing the hammer, and then all sorts of. It's great. It's really, really great. I really like it. Like Norse mythology lends so well to power metal. I'm shocked that there's not more of it, and it's cool that these 2 guys, this band, Brothers of Metal, have dedicated 2 albums just to Norse mythology. It's really fun. I really like it.
Nice.
And then I finished the Orville. The Orville season 3, otherwise known as the Orville New Horizons, finished this week. I've been struggling with the Orville a bit, as I'm sure you guys recall. But I think there's a lot of really good stuff in this season, and there's a lot of really great, like, morally difficult sci-fi. There's an episode that just talks about Topa's sex change from the first season, how it was forced on her to be a boy, and like she discovers that she used to be a girl, and how that, and then like that episode going into the season, you think like the Kalon are the villains of the season, and then other villains start popping through the woodwork. It becomes a very bad time for the Union, which is the federation of the show. And so like they just keep alienating supposed allies, because they no longer want to sit on their morals and be like, look, if the Mocklins want to kill all women, we're not okay with that. And so that like starts to alienate the Mocklins, and then like over on Krill, things are really going bad on Krill, and so like things are just like getting much worse, and it just keeps progressively getting worse for the Union, while also doing like these morality plays, which I think are very good. Every episode is about an hour and a half, and there's a lot of really great stuff that they're dealing with, a lot of existential stuff that really. There's a time travel episode that is some of the heaviest shit I've ever seen in a sci-fi show, let alone Star Trek.
Did you say every episode is about an hour and a half?
Almost.
Whoa, wild!
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Damn.
So they really ran with the new things they could do now that they were Hulu exclusive.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Like somewhere hour 15, hour 12.
Sure. I had no idea we'd left the 40-minute model behind.
Yeah, they threw that out. They chewed it up and spit it out.
That's crazy. I can't wait to see what that's like now.
And the special effects are much bigger. They have a much bigger budget to work with this time. There is actually a flashback to season 1, and the uniforms look so cheap in season 1 compared to the uniforms in this season. I was like, oh shit. All the characters are there. All the characters are really great. But my biggest problem with this season was that it wasn't very fun. There's some good laughs. Every now and then there'll be a joke that really hits, but otherwise, Seth MacFarlane was not interested in making a comedy anymore. He was very much interested in making a drama. This is a hard science fiction drama, and that really worked for him. But I still missed the laughs. So I was very happy that the final episode was a laugh a minute. It's a riot. The final episode is an hour and a half. It serves as a series finale because they're not sure if they're going to go to season 4. And if it will be the series finale, that'll be a big bummer because there's a lot of leftover things that I'd like to see them continue. But it's a very fun, lighthearted episode that really like helped me a lot because I was like, this was good stuff, but man, I missed having fun with this show. And then the last episode, I'm like, oh, finally, we're having some fun. Okay, good. It's a good show. I'm really happy with the Orville New Horizons. I'm all on board. Let's renew the Orville. Let's get a season 4.
Nice.
That's my week.
Okay, Ryan.
Yes, sorry, it's
There's
a little
lot going.
it's a little loud. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
We could start by week. So I did. That's not lie. I didn't do nothing new. I watched a couple horror movies, but I don't think they're worth talking about, so I'm not going to even bring them up. I'm just going to talk about the 2 TV shows that I've been watching for a couple weeks now that I haven't talked about before, and now they're halfway through their season, so I'm going to talk about them now. The first one is Westworld season 4. There's been 6 episodes of Westworld, and I think this is the best season since season 1, which is a really nice thing to say because season 1 of Westworld, I think, is one of the greatest pieces of television ever produced. That is a flawless, and I think my friend Sparks will agree with me, at least season 1, some of the best TV ever made. It is almost hard to want to make more Westworld after season 1 because they started with a 10, right? Season 2, definitely the worst season. Season 3, I think, is pretty good. And now we're in season 4. And for real, if you would have told me where we are in season 4 compared to season 1, I really wouldn't believe you because this is the type of progressing and evolving a show exponentially with every season where like the shit that's happening in season 4, it's so high concept, it is so crazy. I'm just so happy to be here. The thing that I really like about this season compared to the last seasons where, and this is not a negative, it's extremely simple. It's very here's your villains, here's the heroes, here's the plot. Whereas the first 3 seasons of Westworld are very complex. There's a lot of interweaving, multiple storylines, timelines. There is still some of that stuff happening, but it's a lot more streamlined. And by streamlining it, they can just focus on how cool the premise of the entire season is by itself. I don't even want to get into the premise because it's eventually you'll watch the Sparks, but it is so bananas. Like, it is so crazy where we are and where the state of the world is, where the characters are, how much time has passed, all this crazy stuff. I think it's exceptional. Tessa Thompson's the villain this season, and she is at a buffet eating so much scenery, guys. It is so good. I am just having such a good time. There's only one storyline that's not working as well as the others, but it's by no means bad. It's just taking the longest to be fulfilled, and a lot of storylines that have a lot of stuff going on. So I'm so happy it's back. People seem to really like the season, even though it's probably like the lowest watched season of Westworld, which probably means it might get maybe one more season and it'll be done by the numbers. I hope that's not true, especially with all the shit happening with Warner Brothers now. But I am loving Westworld. New episodes every Sunday. Can't wait for this week's episode. Love it. The next thing I'm going to watch or talk about is HBO's The Rehearsal, starring Nathan Fielder. And this is, y'all, a show that's kind of even hard to describe. It's a reality comedy show, but it's also unlike any other television show ever made. I'll talk about the first episode because it gets exponentially crazier and actually hard to describe at some points without talking about it for half an hour. So the first episode, it's about a man, and he's been part of this bowling team for 10 years. And when he first met this bowling team, he lied to them about having a master's degree. So for 10 years, this guy has told his friends he had a master's degree. And for 10 years, it's been building him up inside. That's been eating at him, that he's lied to his best friends. So Nathan Fielder comes to him. He's like, hey, man, I want to rehearse the conversation you're going to have with your friend about you telling her the truth about your life. So he spends weeks with this man. He reconstructs the bar that he always goes at 100% identically in a warehouse. He hires a bunch of actors to come play people at a bar, and he rehearses with another actor who plays this guy's friend for weeks how his interaction is going to go telling her the truth. So every conversation he has, Nathan Fielder types down, and there's like a spreadsheet going to, if she says this, then your response will be this. Mm-hmm. If she says this, your response will be this. So it's a web of acting through truth telling. and that's the first episode, and it sounds bonkers, but he's rehearsing real life events for people to experience when they actually do them. To the exact point where like the bartenders are real, the actors are real, they're doing all the stuff, and it's like a live play through real life. And it only gets crazier and crazier from then. And like the last bit of tidbit I want to tell you guys, because I don't want to reveal the whole thing, is the main plot of the overall season is this woman named Angela, and she wants to be a mother. So she's rehearsing motherhood by bringing children in as actors, but every 3 weeks they age 6 years. So she has a child and she raises them like a kid, and then the kid, it just turns into a little kid. Then he turns into a middle-aged kid. Then he turns into a teenager, and she has to rehearse being a mother. So when she's eventually a mother, she knows that she's done this. But the human interactions that happen between them are so real. It gets so real at times, even though these are all actors. Nathan Fielder himself's going like, what am I even doing anymore? It becomes there's so many layers upon layers upon layers of like, and what is even real anymore? Like, I have an actor playing a kid. It's the most insane. It's one of the most insane shows I've ever seen in my life, guys. And this most recent episode, it gets like 10 levels so deep where Nathan Fielder is having like an existential crisis of like, what is entertainment? What am I even doing with my life? It's magical, guys. It's I've never seen anything like it. People are like, is Nathan Fielder like a secret manipulator? Like, there's so many things coming about him as a person, because there's never been another comedian like him where he is so deadpan. Like, everything he says, like, he's not funny, but he's really funny because he's not funny. And he has such a hard time communicating and expressing his real emotions. And this show is slowly becoming like his therapy session about how and who he is as a person through entertainment. And like, it's one of the most profound things I've ever seen, for real. And it just starts as like this really weird comedy show. And I highly recommend it. It is so unique. It is so weird. It's very profound. The memes are so juicy. Like, it's creating the juiciest memes alive. I can't believe it exists. It's a show unlike any reality show I've ever seen in my life. And it's just awesome. And those are the two shows that I'm watching. Thank you for your time. I played Multiverses, though we talked about it.
Okay, shall we do our bread and butter?
Yes.
Before Ryan,
did you see that cat?
That's off the tail.
Oh my god, she was crazy.
Okay. Sad news up top. This happened actually after we stopped recording on Sunday. Last week. Pat Carroll, the voice of Ursula in The Little Mermaid, passed away this week at the age of 95.
Wow. That's a beautiful age. That's a long life. I don't know. I'm sure I know other work, but I don't really know anything besides her Little Mermaid work. But that is an iconic role, if anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know Ben loves Ursula. That wasn't supposed to be a dig. You do really like that song.
No, I really do. That's one of my favorite villain songs. It's a bummer, but I mean, 95 isn't anything to sneeze at. She lived a great life. I'm pretty sure she lives a great life, and she's remembered as one of the most iconic Disney villains of all time. So,
what a hell of a legacy.
Yeah. Also, I love how she kept coming back to voice Ursula, because she voiced Ursula in all the Kingdom Hearts games.
That's cool.
She voiced Ursula anytime Ursula appeared.
Hell yeah.
Phantasmic at the parks, the House of Mouse show on Disney Channel, like anytime Ursula appeared in anything, it was Pat Carroll. Her and the actor that played Jafar, constantly, like anytime those characters appear, they're playing them. She had a big like both live action and big time voice acting career.
Yeah.
Long life. Good legacy.
Yeah. And then Vince Scully passed away at the age of 94. Ben, you can take this one.
Yeah, I requested this one on because Vince Scully, he's a Hall of Fame broadcaster, but also he's famously known as the broadcaster for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But he didn't just voice the games for the Dodgers. He also has done a few football games. He's done World Series. He I want to say back in 1986, he was one who called the game when the Boston Red Sox lost to the New York Mets with the famous behind the bag where the Red Sox first baseman missed an easy out, and then the Red Sox lost the World Series. But this one was hard because Vin Scully was every single sports broadcaster alive thinks Vin Scully was the best whoever did anything. It wasn't just baseball. It was just any type of sports broadcasting. They're like, Vin Scully is the best one. Because when he would call a game, he would not just talk about the team he was calling for. He would mention anecdotes about the other team. He would mention little stories about the conversations he would have with the players on both teams, and it was a big loss because the city of LA, he was like the voice of the city of LA for the longest time, and his career spanned all the way back when the Dodgers were still in Brooklyn.
67 years, I believe I saw, because I work at a sports pub, and I saw all over the news talking about it.
Yep, he was calling Dodger games for over 67 years. He retired in 2016. And honestly, I'm just glad that he got to see the Dodgers win one more World Series before he passed away this year. So, I mean, once again, 94 years old, nothing to sneeze at. The man, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be like a statewide funeral here in California for Vince Scully. Not just because he voiced the Dodgers, but just all of baseball. No matter if you're a Giants fan, if you're a Red Sox fan, a Yankees fan, no matter what type of fan of a team you are, you say the name Vince Scully, is like, oh man, that hurts. So it's a loss to the sports world, but once again, 94 years old, nothing to sneeze at. Amazing legacy. And quick anecdote, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Vince Scully. My dad used to play softball, and I would actually call his games doing my best Vince Scully imitation. So
hell yeah.
did I want to be on the field? Sure. But mostly I was like, no, I want to be up in the booth calling the game like Vince Scully. That was my dream job as a kid.
Almost 70 years. That's bananas.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go into some quick news before we talk about what's been going on with Warner Brothers. The Flash. We kind of suspected this was happening, but it is confirmed it's coming to an end after a truncated season 9.
Yep. For the best, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I haven't even watched the last season of The Flash, so I will, but it's past its heyday, unfortunately.
And that's
no matter how much Grant Gustin is still committed.
That's it for the Arrowverse.
That is effectively the end of the Arrowverse, yes.
Crazy.
I really, really hope that it's not just it's the last episode of The Flash. I hope it's something for the Arrowverse, but I have a feeling it's not gonna be.
I would honestly, quite honestly, here's what I think the Arrowverse deserves. I think it deserves a movie on HBO Max.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I think the Arrowverse. That's what I think the finale of the Arrowverse deserves.
I agree.
I think I personally wouldn't go movie, if I'm being honest. I would probably go with like limited series, something like what Crisis on Infinite Earths is, some 5-episode event thing. Because there's frankly, if you're gonna do it, like what we're talking about now is like you got to give like the Batwoman crew their send off. You got to give the Legends of Tomorrow crew their send off because they both got truncated. You have to do some things to kind of give everyone their proper due, and I just don't think you get that in a film. So I do think it would have to be like some limited episode event. But I think a big production limited episode event where you really put the work in because nobody has a show that they have to. You just focus on that. Could be really cool and a nice capstone to it. We've talked about it before that like the timing of the pandemic with Crisis on Infinite Earths really put the Arrowverse in a weird place, and they just never really recovered as a whole. Certain shows did really well on their way out, but it just never bounced back completely.
Yeah, we never got that Wonder Twins tease.
No.
With the state of what we'll get into later. I'm sure this is probably it.
Yeah.
Superman, Lois, and Stargirl. If you want to go by like the Supergirl rules, would still technically be Arrowverse because Supergirl was at one point not on the same Earth as the others.
Right, like Black Lightning and them, like because they eventually became interconnected.
Yeah.
By that same token, Superman and Lois, while it features the same cast, technically never crossed over.
That's true.
And neither did Stargirl, although John Wesley Shipp showed up in Stargirl, but I don't actually know if he shows up as a Flash that we've seen in the Flash.
Yeah, but he is Jay. I remember he is Jay Garrick.
Yeah, but I don't remember if he's the same Jay Garrick.
Right.
Yeah, you could think of it that way, but like, effectively, this is the end of core Arrowverse.
Yeah,
With a whimper.
I'm actually really surprised that, like, because I was thinking about this, like, the second Arrowverse show is the one to end everything. It's kind of surprised me because, like, I figured, truthfully, this surprise comes from the fact that I figured we'd still have a few more years of the Arrowverse after Crisis, right? Like, I thought Crisis set up like the next 5-6 years of some pretty solid stuff, and then like other shows would, like, it would be a different show that ended everything. Flash would go out.
You'd think after that big Justice League tease, they had an idea, but they don't know what they're doing. Apparently, clearly.
Yeah. Well, I think the Justice League. I blame the pandemic on the fact that we never saw the Justice League.
Yeah, we know that there were supposed to be like 2 lighter crossovers that were playing into that Justice League idea. We only got one, which was the Flash one I talked about briefly.
Armageddon.
Yeah, the Armageddon one, which does play into the, like, we revisit the chairs. That's why Black Lightning shows up. Like, the concept is revisited there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I always thought that the Arrowverse would end with Barry Allen involved, not necessarily the Flash, but like Barry Allen would be part of the end of the Arrowverse. So I guess at least there's that.
Yeah.
Because in many ways I feel like he's the dominant face, even though this started with Oliver Queen and Stephen Amell. I think Grant Gustin's show surpassed that a while ago and became like the core that the Arrowverse was moving around rather than moving around Arrow, even though we call it the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Here's hoping some crossover happens, even in the final episode, just to see maybe former Flash people, former Arrowverse people, Stephen Amell coming back maybe for like a scene would be cool. Who knows?
The Spectre.
That John Diggle spinoff show is dead and done.
That's not happening. I can't.
Never.
After the news of what happened with Discovery, I cannot believe that show is happening.
I'm just irritated that they never just like said he became a Green Lantern.
Me too.
That they just kept playing coy with it, like they were eventually going to do something with it, and now it's too late. You will never see that.
Justice, you.
It's all just like 2.5 years of teases.
The Boys. Cameron Crovetti, who plays Homelander's son in The Boys, has been promoted to a series regular.
Good for him.
Yay, Ryan! That's
I'm encouraged by this because he has to be a focal point now.
Yeah,
and that kid's actually been on the show since season 1, so like it's good that he's getting the recognition of his presence.
Yeah. I kind of forget that kid's just been there forever.
Yeah, he's been there since the get.
Remember when Homelander threw him off a roof? That was really funny.
That was.
I'm happy for the kid that he's getting his just dues.
Hell yeah.
The Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 has cast 2 new actors, Nick Offerman.
Ooh.
And Janet McTeer. Now, if you don't recognize her, she's Jessica Jones's mother from the 2nd season of Jessica Jones.
Okay, yeah. She's spicy. Cool.
So yeah, I honestly really excited to see Nick Offerman in a Mission Impossible movie.
Do you think Nick Offerman's replacing Baldwin? Like in that role, in that role, not the same character, but like that presence.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes, but I think it would be fun if he played something a little less like in his wheelhouse. Like if he was like a villain, that'd be really cool.
That'd be cool.
But I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like when he said Nick Offerman, my brain thought, "Oh, is he the villain?" But he can play the government guy. He's done the government guy before.
Dude,
I'm not talking about Parks and Rec. I'm talking about Gravity Falls.
I would love nothing more than for Nick Offerman to be the villain. That would be incredible.
What happened to Baldwin's character in 6? He didn't die, right?
I think he did.
I don't remember.
I'm
definitely gonna have to rewatch it for that new one.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch.
I really liked Baldwin. Obviously, Baldwin is a murderer now, but like, no, I'm kidding. But like, obviously, like, you can't really bring him back, whether or not he's dead or alive, at this point. So I'm really interested in seeing this, because if he is replacing Baldwin's character, then it gives me hope that we're actually going to see the Mission Impossible force actually be a government agency and not just Ethan Hunt,
Mm-hmm.
which it has been for the past 3 movies, and that's fine. Like that's cool. I like watching the Mission Impossible movies a lot, but I miss the feeling that this was a whole like agency under the government that we went away from.
It's got a dead reckoning.
Well, the fact that like Kittredge is also coming back also gives me the hope that that
he's
could be...
dead. He died in Fallout.
Oh, okay, right. I seem to recall him dying, but I couldn't remember for sure.
Apparently, Tom Cruise wrote the scene.
Oh,
he really hates Alec Baldwin.
Really didn't like Alec Baldwin. I thought Baldwin was pretty good in those because it was cool to see like Jack Ryan be in a Mission Impossible movie. Essentially, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's get mad. Warner Brothers Discovery had an investors call, but before that happened, the Batgirl movie was canceled. Just in post-production, 10 weeks into post-production, and we got word, and it started going like wildfire, that yes, the Batgirl movie that was going to HBO Max has just been canceled.
I just want to get the directors' names. It's Bilal Fallah and Adil El Arbi. Those are the 2 directors who also did Miss Marvel.
Yes. They did the first and last episode of Miss Marvel, Bad Boys for Life, which I heard really good things about. That really was not good. That sucked. That really sucked to hear. Leslie Grace's Batgirl movie was something I was kind of excited about.
Same.
Everyone was.
I mean, you got Keaton back. You got Brendan Fraser as a villain. Like
J.K. Simmons. Like this was a. The only thing that I remember us ever saying negative about this movie was that we were disappointed that they thought of it as just an HBO Max venture, and we felt that it should have gone to theaters, which they were apparently considering at one point.
And the test audiences, apparently it tested as well as Black Adam did, and It Chapter 1 were the 2 ones that they were talking about, like that had the same testing scores.
It Chapter 1, great movie.
Yeah. And like the thing, I was listening to this this thing on Twitter, but like apparently what it was talking about was like, because it didn't test because it tested like that, those films, because they were theatrical films, were given more money, because when that test audience only saw an assembly cut, and so like from there you whittle down and you add some money or you take away some money, whatever. Because those 2 movies, Black Adam and It Chapter 1, were theatrical films, they were prioritized, and under a different regime, Batgirl would have also had the same prioritization. But David Zaslav, who's coming from Discovery, who's now running Warner Brothers, did not feel the movie was worth it.
Also, not saying this has a lot to do with it, but it might be a staunch Republican Trump supporter.
Yeah. And that pattern reared its ugly head this week also. So apparently the idea was that, and this is such bullshit, but like Batgirl was too cheap to put in theaters and too expensive to put on HBO Max, because Zaslav wants to go away from all what AT&T, if you remember, they were like all in on streaming. We're going to put expensive movies on streaming. We're going to put expensive shows on streaming. We are streaming. Zaslav no longer wants to do that. He wants to completely go away from movies on streaming. Movies now only have to be big tentpole event pictures that are made for theatrical only. And if you're not that, you're done.
He also said that he was trying to protect DC's brand. And in like one of the audio interviews I listened to, he's like, listen, we care about Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash. That's it. That's who he said who his tentpoles are. Yeah. He said the Flash. So, and that movie's not going anywhere despite all the shit with it. So
what was the quote? All's good in Flashland.
Oh yeah, like choose your words better, director man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, this
and this is only the beginning of the week too, which is infuriating. That like, if like, I'm not saying it's like, if it was just Batgirl, it'd be better. Like, obviously that's shitty, but like, this was the start of just a week of, oh, it's actually getting really bad over there.
We heard this a while ago, that after they had cast Wonder Twins, they had canceled the film. This is why. It was an HBO Max original, and it came out that this is why Wonder Twins, because he says it specifically, like, I canceled Wonder Twins because I didn't believe in it. We're not putting out a movie that we don't believe in, is what he said. And then the other film that was almost completed that he canceled was the prequel to Scoob Holiday Haunt, which was coming out this December.
And animated movies take like longer to make than regular movies. That's all computer. That's all people working. Not that anyone, movies don't. You know what I mean? Like that's a long ass process, and you didn't cancel it early. You canceled it when it was basically done. Like,
yeah.
Unbelievable. And that movie looks so charming. Like, give me a break.
It had a great cast of Maya Hawke, McKenna Grace.
And the insane thing here is that like they do it for a tax reason, and like they're still going to make money by not releasing something. And something that we will never see. I guarantee you, like, one of these movies will get leaked. There's no way it won't be at this point. That's the state of the world. Like, things get leaked now. But like, it's for artists. It was a really shitty week, man.
Is it true? Is it true?
The tax write-off, real quickly, Ben. Mm-hmm. The tax write-off thing is the one that should really infuriate people. Not just because, like, you're taking away art for a tax write-off. They are legally obligated to never ever release this movie if it becomes a tax write-off. Yeah, they can't release it. It would be like a violation of like their nonsense. So a campaign like the Snyder Cut campaign could not yield any positive results legally. Yeah. Anyway, Ben, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask if because I saw a rumor online that another reason why they decided to can this movie is that test audiences didn't like it.
That's what we talked about earlier.
So yes, I did bring that up earlier, and I wanted to be. I'm kind of glad to like talk about a little bit more about this, because the leaks, the tippers that were all saying the test audiences didn't like it, how it tested bad, how it was a terrible movie. I don't trust that, because that happened very, very quickly, suspiciously quickly. It felt like to me damage control. It felt like to me Zaslav was putting out people to send out these tips, because we know that's what companies do. Companies put out fake rumors. Companies put out fake tips. They to drum up any sort of kind of hype. They control even even some of the leaks. Mm-hmm. And so these tips, whether or not they're true, what is true is that the film tested as well as Black Adam, which is still coming out. That's the bottom line of it. So I feel like these tips of, oh, the movie was actually terrible, I have a hard time believing that, based on how quickly those turned around.
I also just have a hard time believing
lies.
It. Yeah.
Go ahead, Sparks.
No, I say I just also have a hard time believing it. Yeah, so the tax write-off thing is where, we're getting into it's been building. Streaming laws need to be amended. There are not clear rules about streaming. This is where a lot of loopholes that have been done to writers and actors and all kinds of contracts, because streaming does not have clear set rules the way television did. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's almost a free for all space, because it's the Wild West. A lot of things can go because nobody's set these rules about, residuals don't exist for streaming.
Yeah. Which actually, interesting, this didn't make the news because of the Discovery thing, but the WGA just signed a new contract to give streaming films residuals.
Right. Good. This is a big deal, is that like these companies have been able to do whatever they want. And they have seen streaming as a plentiful resource because they can make the rules there.
Yeah.
That has been beneficial, but also mostly terrible for the people involved. And this is one of the ways in which it's about to be like nightmarish, is because of this opening for the tax write-off thing. That is a streaming cesspool mess that I promise you lawyers are figuring out how they're going to have to change this now.
And like, what I can take comfort of this is like Leslie Grace and the directors, they're going to be fine. They are represented by some of the best people in the industry, and they will very quickly find them a new project.
Real quickly, the directors shared online their message from Kevin Feige saying, "Hey guys, sorry this happened on your wedding. We hope to hear from you soon." So they're coming right back to Marvel, like guaranteed.
I firmly believe that Kevin Feige is looking for a place for them again.
Importantly, I just want to make a note of it because it's just crappy. It's crappy because of what the situation has fostered. Leslie Grace doesn't deserve the ha you don't get to be Batgirl now because you never were.
1,000,000%
treatment. Like, it's just garbage that's happening.
Yeah.
And I hate that this has allowed that to be something she has to deal with now.
Yeah.
For
and she's
time forward to come, who knows how long.
She's been so wonderful about this whole thing, and she's been like sharing behind the scenes photos. Like there were no, this is important, there were no issues on set, there were no production problems on this film, and it very much was like, I remember we were talking about a DCEU movie ages ago that was coming out, and it just kind of like slipped by. I think it might have been Shazam, like a film that had no controversy. It just kind of quietly filmed its thing, created a movie and released it, and we were all just kind of flabbergasted that we heard nothing about it, because we had been hearing so much about The Flash and potentially Aquaman, Birds of Prey, like all these films had either manufactured or real controversies that had happened around them, except for, and if I remember correctly, Shazam. And so like this very much was the same thing. At the same time that Flash has been dealing with controversy after controversy after controversy after controversy for years, almost a decade before we got to the Ezra Miller crap.
Yeah.
Batgirl was able to just film a movie quietly with no controversy and no issues.
And the thing that really like worries me, and it is actually like, I'm generally, when these big things happen, like with Disney or other companies, like I generally try to be like a glass half full guy, because like I believe that in the end artists win. They, especially with Disney, like Disney, despite all its flaws, they try to give you a good product for everybody, right? The thing about this HBO shit, man, like Batgirl was exactly the movie I wanted. It was a low budget, not a low scale. She fights a fireman, an evil fireman, as a bad guy, right? That's $90 million. Like, I just want a small, fun superhero movie. Not everything needs to be Endgame.
To see Brendan Fraser as Firefly,
yeah,
like quite literally, we were robbed.
Yeah,
I will consider that loss, as well as this whole loss, legitimate theft.
Yeah, and it worries me that like Zaslav's thing is like, we want the biggest movies ever, and I'm like, so that means that like we're just not getting small. We're never going to get a small. Like, I am worried about Black Canary now, for real. They haven't said anything, but I'm really worried about Black Canary. Blue Beetle. The people said they're fine. That doesn't mean I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. So Zaslav. Apparently, real quickly, I want to get something on the record, but real quickly, he said he apparently went around to creatives and talked about how, like, I'm here for you. I'm here to protect you. I'm going to protect you, protect your guys', your product, your films, your content, whatever the hell he called it at the time. At the same time, really ripping into the decision to make a Clint Eastwood movie. Honestly, I kind of respected that. But he talked about how he was like there for the creator, and then this happened, and I gotta tell you, what sends a very bad message. This is what Christopher Nolan was talking about when AT&T was in charge. This is why he left Warner Brothers. What big time creative? Like, the small people will probably still go to them, but what big creative will want to work with a company that could potentially scrap your film well into post production?
This is the big thing. Is I don't even think like a lot of the small people won't either. A lot of the smaller, they're looking at Batgirl. They just saw, like, this is the thing. The film industry just watched what happened to Batgirl. And that's why, and Scoob. But this is, they're looking at, like, I say Batgirl just because Batgirl is the prominent one. And they're looking at it. But like that sent a message that is like, your product is not safe here.
Yes.
You are not safe here. Your art is not safe here. And in some cases is not going to be welcome. And this is where like streaming things are going to come up. People are going to be filing lawsuits. Decisions are going to get made about where streamers' rights and where the rights of the artists fall, and what's going to happen going forward. Change is coming in that way, but nothing changes the fact that a whole lot of people are looking right now at what Zaslav did and saying, I'm not going to go work there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring my movie there.
And also just the fact that he would go, that what Brandon said, that he was going around to creators is like, no, I'm for you. I'm going to protect your product. I'm going to protect your thing.
Because the reason why he did that is because he wanted to dissuade people to think that he would be different to AT&T. Because what AT&T did with the putting the theatrical release movies on streaming was still a hot button topic when he took over Warner Brothers. And while that turned out quite honestly for the better, in hindsight, that stupid decision by AT&T ended up being a not bad decision.
Yeah,
which is wild to me. But he wanted to dissuade fears that wouldn't be possiable under his regime.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that if a head of a company were to come to me and say, I'm a director of a low budget film, very small, like street level hero stuff, right? And he were to come to me, he's like, no, your stuff is safe. It's going to come out. We're going to put it out. And then they were to turn right back around and say, no, we're never going to release it because of tax reasons and whatever. I'm like, I'm never going to work at Warner Brothers again.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like he's a new leader of the company, so he's gonna do the nice guy thing, going on, "Hey guys, I'm a new boss, but I'm just like you. I'm your friend, right?" And then once the week is over and he's had time to let you know him, he's like, "Okay, here's why I'm actually here. I'm here to make money. I don't care about art." And that's the big thing. Again, from these other companies, are like, at least they seem to care about art. This is straight up like, we are only about the money. So unless you're going to make us $1 billion a movie, we're not interested. That sends a precedent. So again, like you said, like so many filmmakers, like, I'm not going to work for these people.
Yeah.
So there's still a bit more to get through. So I'm going to run through this and we'll.
Do you have the SKUs? Do you have the SKUs, Brandon?
The SKUs? Oh yes, I do.
Yeah, the male and
the
female SKUs.
I do have the SKUs. That'll be coming. But this is an ongoing conversation that we'll just kind of keep going through. But so Walter Amada was also in the news. Apparently, he was told that this was going to happen directly after the test screening. Zaslav apparently made the decision then. Told Walter Amada, who is currently the guy who runs all the DC films, he almost quit on the spot. He was like, "There's no effing way. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to keep working with this. If this is the case." Zaslav managed to convince him to stay on until Black Adam. And Hamada is still not sure if he's going to stay on past that. So if you piss off Hamada,
I was gonna say,
honestly,
that guy, like whatever on that guy, but even he's like, maybe this place sucks. Like, wow,
yeah, that's how you know you did you messed up.
Wow.
But Zaslav wants him on board because he has been running these DC films, and because all of the DC films that he put his name to have made close to or $1 billion.
Yeah.
The other DC films that we've kind of danced around it, but Supergirl, Sasha Cale was going to get a spinoff of the Flash. That's no longer happening. Blue Beetle supposedly is safe because early on because AT&T's whole thing was like, we're making expensive movies for streaming. Apparently AT&T believed in that. So Blue Beetle specifically, Blue Beetle was able to transition to being a theatrical film.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, Blue Beetle is before Zaslav even came on board, was moving to theatrical. So that's why Blue Beetle is currently safe.
At least somebody's safe.
But you don't really know. Like come Monday, Zaslav could change his mind.
Yeah.
No word on Static Shock. No one can quite figure out what the hell's happened to the Static Shock movie.
Oh, no way. That thing's dead in the water.
Yeah.
No way.
But because it is in pre-production, I guess there's the hope that you could move. You can just rejigger it to be a theatrical event film.
Yeah.
Still get that Static Shock movie. Who knows? I find that unlikely because of the fact that these are conveniently the minority characters.
I was gonna say, I don't think it sounds wide enough for me, Brandon.
Yeah. Zaslav has apparently tasked Alan Horn, who worked at Disney for a long time, with putting together a new 10-year strategy for DC. That was kind of his thing about the investor call, as he kept talking about a new 10-year strategy, and specifically cited we want something like Marvel's like Feige. We want a Feige level universe, and we're going to make everything streamlined, and it's all going to be part of this 10-year plan, which is why these movies have been canceled.
The worst.
Which is probably why Michael Keaton is no longer Batman.
The worst thing he possibly could have said is we want to do what Disney did.
Yeah.
We've done this podcast for so many years, and there was a point in the Snyder portion of it where it's like, now they're just throwing dartboards and making anything they want. That eventually turned into a good thing where it's like, okay, we're just going to let people make movies. And then most of the DC movies in the last couple years have been radical. Mm-hmm. And then we're just going to no, we're going to scrap all of it and we're going to do the Marvel thing. And I'm like, how many times has that failed other companies? We can't.
AT&T started with, we're going to make a 10-year strategy for DC. It never works.
They got halfway there.
It never works. It's always a bad idea. There was someone who pointed out every single cinematic universe that has tried to do the Marvel thing has failed because they do not fundamentally understand why the Marvel one was successful.
Isn't Aquaman isn't that their most successful?
It's their most successful movie.
That has nothing to do with any universe. It's just Aquaman.
This also feels like horseshit when you're fast tracking Joker 2 at the same time.
Yes.
Which has nothing to do with these intentions
or
plans.
And the thing is, again, I am happy that something like Joker 2 gets to exist. But like, why are we scrapping the cheaper, easy, like the cheap, like Batgirl seems like more of a like a certified win than Joker 2 does in a way. But I'm like, that's why I'm not a Hollywood person.
And like, you're not going to get rid of the Batman also because that movie made a lot of money. That movie was very successful. He'd be stupider than I would give him credit than I'm giving him credit for now.
Yeah.
To cancel the Batman 2.
I'm really curious. Like, God, like they're definitely not gonna like Matt Reeves is gonna make another Batman movie for sure. But like, I wonder what happens with Batman now. Like, because
I think this is why the Michael Keaton projects are getting removed. I think the Flash being pushed is part of it, but yeah. I don't think that Michael Keaton is the Batman going forward. I think they're going to pick someone else.
I don't need him to be the Batman, but it really bums me out because I was ready and primed for old man Michael Keaton to be in a couple things, even if it's just for a little bit. But I'm like, he's getting like removed, and I'm like, that's so sad. That's so sad.
Yeah, it's also just shitty when like Michael Keaton almost never returns to roles, and for this to be how it's going, it's gonna make him not want to do it ever. And then you've got sorry, I lost my thought, so go ahead and I'll find it again.
Yeah, I think they want Ben Affleck to just be Batman again. I think they know how much goodwill that would give them. There's also Cavill. They talked about how they really like Cavill as Superman, but they're not sure if they'll do that again. But I do think there was a lot of talk that made me believe. We talked a little bit about earlier how Zaslav was apparently given the first draft of Ta-Nehisi Coates' African American Clark Kent script, and he dictated it should be changed into a white Clark Kent script set in the DCEU. I firmly believe that rumor now. I think that is 100% true. They are going to retool that script to be a Henry Cavill-led Superman movie.
Yeah.
Or at least whoever they want.
I'm not even like we all love Henry Cavill, but like at this point, like with him doing so much other stuff in The Witcher, like I'm not even convinced Zaslav like wants him back. Like I think they really want to scrap it all, unfortunately. Yeah. And like you can't scrap Aquaman. It's too good.
I have no hope for the DC universe right now going
forward.
This
is like we're lucky we're still gonna get like I say lucky, like again, like I'm praying that Black Canary movie gets to exist. Like Suicide Squad got to come out. Peacemaker's probably gonna be fine, thankfully.
I bet the HBO Max stuff that was supposed to extend from the Batman is
Waller
gone.
Stuff. Yeah.
No, from the Batman.
Oh, the Batman
Reeves stuff is gone.
Oh shit.
Well, we already know that the Gordon one that turned into an Arkham one, that's done. That's not happening. But the Penguin one, Colin Farrell,
yeah.
He was pretty confident that's still happening, just this week. So,
yeah, but with HBO Max looking to get shit canned in the next year,
so like HBO Max. So the thing about like,
it's a good service too, man.
So okay, well I'll keep going.
It's got good stuff on it.
Apparently Zaslav really loves The Flash. He's like super into it. He's like, yeah, this movie's great. Whatever.
And you know what? Here's the thing. The movie might be good. Like I'm not like it's got a good director, like, but it's got a good cast besides the shithead in the lead. But like, I just don't understand how there's no damage control whatsoever on that movie at all. None. All's happy in Flashland.
Okay, so about HBO Max.
No one knows where Ezra Miller is, but all's happy in Flashland.
Right. So about HBO Max, that was a big thing because going into this, there was a big rumor that was spreading like wildfire that could be true, could not be true, that they were going to lay off 70% of their workforce. To Zaslav's credit, that does not seem to be the case. In fact, they are investing more into HBO Max going forward. However, HBO Max will be merged with Discovery Plus to create a new service starting in the summer of 2023.
Oh, that one's real?
That one's real.
Oh, dude, my hope. I have no hope anymore. Oh man, no! Don't call it Discovery Plus. Oh well, no!
They say it's going to be a new one.
HBO Discovery.
Quite honestly. Okay. I understand that I was hit with some facts. I get it. 90 Day Fiancé is apparently really, really freaking popular.
The 90 Day Fiancé universe.
Yeah, sorry, whatever. Who gives a shit? I understand that people love Discovery Plus, but you cannot convince me otherwise that Discovery Plus does not deserve anything any more than to be a tab on HBO Max's homepage.
Well, here's the thing, Brandon. You need to realize that market is split into two factions. We have the males
I'm bringing this up now.
And the females.
I'm bringing this up now. Okay. Here's a real slide in the investor meeting.
In the year of our Lord 2022, this is real.
Cannot believe that he let this be publicly shared.
This is a joke.
Unique and complimentary slide on the investor meeting. It has HBO Max, has two columns, HBO Max and Discovery Plus, and what he thinks are the big audiences for HBO Max and Discovery Plus. HBO Max, male skew, scripted, lean in, appointment viewing, home of fandoms. That's HBO Max. Discovery Plus, female skew, unscripted, lean back, comfort viewing, and home of genredoms.
That is unknowingly one of the most insulting things you could
1 billion.
Women don't watch scripted shows. They don't watch anything with real stuff. It's all about leaning back, baby. Reality TV, baby. You love 90 Day Fiance. That's all you watch, right, woman? I can't believe this is real.
I 100% understand that 90 Day Fiance. Apparently, I saw the numbers. I don't believe them, but apparently it did better than every single scripted content on HBO Max. Sure.
I don't watch it, but I do watch the clips on YouTube. It's pretty popular.
Sure. It's a very popular thing. But you know what? Where it will also be popular? On the Discovery Plus tab on HBO Max's homepage.
Yeah.
Reality TV has its audiences. It just does.
Yeah.
The fact that we're talking about that stupid 90 Day Fiance, because guess what was taking over almost 80% of the double-decker buses in London? 90 Day Fiance UK ads.
Hell yeah.
And so, I totally understand. I totally get that. But you know what else I understand? Discovery Plus didn't have nearly as many Emmy nominations as HBO Max.
And the thing is, it boggles my mind that a guy who is, he's in charge of Warner Brothers, right? Or just HBO or whatever.
He's in charge of Warner Brothers Discovery, which is the new company made from Warner Media.
So he's the guy at the top. HBO stands for home box office. It stands for scripted, high brow, and you want to get rid of so much of that and just focus on the stuff that makes you money. Again, that's where he's not thinking about artists whatsoever. He's thinking about money, and it's so easy and cheap to make reality TV shows. It's such a bummer.
Brandon, can you give us the last points that you have for this, and then let's just have the discussion about all of this.
Right. So currently 6 movies have been removed from HBO Max for much the same reason, tax write-offs. They are Moonshot, The Witches, Lockdown, which is the Anne Hathaway, Ocean's 11 guy who directed Ocean's 11. Soderbergh. He directed a Lockdown movie.
Right. I remember the trailer for that.
This makes no sense. That
one more real quickly.
Yeah.
And American Pickle is the other one I want to talk, which is a movie I really like and I think is very good. So these and a few TV shows, including Mrs. Fletcher, but I didn't get the full list there. So these are removed because they're not doing well on the service. They're just
American Pickle came out.
No, I know. These are all out movies. These are released movies. Moonshot is a movie that just premiered 3 weeks ago.
You're telling me
which one's the Soderbergh one again? Sorry.
Lockdown?
They just took it off the service because people were watching it?
Yes.
What, dude, what is happening? That's insane.
This is where the tax write-off thing gets kind of insane because they were seen already. So it's kind of crazy that they can do that.
Yeah, these are movies that are released, all of them.
This is
what
are they doing?
More are expected to be removed because Zaslav says we're not going to keep something on that service that nobody is watching because of the expense thing. Because if AT&T wanted to move into expensive streaming movies, Discovery does not want to, and if nobody's watching them, he takes them off.
This is the worst nickel and diming I've ever seen.
Why do I feel like this could be the end of Warner Brothers?
Well, it's not. It's not. But
in fairness to what Zaslav said, he wants to make Warner Brothers the type of legacy studio it used to be. I don't know how this is the plan.
This is not the way.
Just real quick, sorry, because I was pretty sure this was Soderbergh was not involved with Lockdown.
But is Lockdown, that's the Anne Hathaway one, right?
Yes, it is Anne Hathaway, but Anne Hathaway lost 2 films in this. But Soderbergh's 2 HBO Max films are still there for now, so probably want to check them out. That's the Kimmy and
Kimmy, right,
with,
right. Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz and the No Sudden Move with Brendan Fraser and Don Cheadle.
That's right.
Those 2 are still there right now.
So a few more things I'll get through. The 45-day window from theatrical to streaming, which is what AT&T wanted to do, will no longer be a guarantee. Basically, just means that they'll take it a case-by-case basis, depending on how well the movie is doing in theaters. They will invest more into the streaming service, not less. That personally makes me hopeful for shows like Sex Lives of College Girls, Our Flag Means Death, Gilded Age. All these shows I really like, I really watch. All of them, not male skew. Sorry, Zaslav. You're still muted, Brian.
Scripted.
Yeah, like Sex Lives of College Girls is a great show for women, for young girls.
But the concern comes in that, like, yes, the shows might be mostly safe on HBO Max, but the films, a lot of original films that were made for HBO Max, are probably done.
The shows are in danger, I do believe, because again, like other TV shows were taken off. There was an animated show, Sparks. I think you might want to look this one up. There's an animated show that had a third season renewal and was almost ready to air and was canceled before the third season went to air. Just recently, this happened because of this. If you can look that up for me, I forgot to look that up.
Man.
So it's not clear. He was not clear if HBO Max originals that aren't canceled will just be adopted into HBO, because he is interested in kind of leaning less into
Little Ellen.
Little Ellen. Thank you. So that third season is not coming out. It's going to be a tax write-off.
This is literally not relevant, but I was at work and young Sheldon was on TV. McKenna Grace is in that show.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I'm like, I'm never gonna watch the show, but look at you.
Okay, so some of the shows, because there are reports still floating around that were not dissuaded by the investor meeting that HBO, because when they merge, what's that going to look like? Will HBO Max originals just become HBO originals?
Yeah.
Like what are we, or will some of them just get lost? Like, will they not happen? By the way, Snowpiercer was canceled because of this, because of him.
Yep.
So basically what this is he's reversing AT&T's strategy to make movies for streaming. So as I've said, no, he's not going to make movies for streaming anymore. All movies will be major event films, especially DC movies. He's like very adamant, like DC movies are going to be event films released in theaters, because he saw Top Gun Maverick and got the wrong idea about why Top Gun Maverick was a success. Because he said Top Gun Maverick is the reason why you need to make event movies. No streaming movies. All movies need to be event movies because Top Gun Maverick was a success.
Oh, I do not like this man.
No.
Ay.
He said, and I quote, "We cannot find an economic value for it," talking about streaming movies. He just does not think that there's any benefit economically to it.
Bro.
He will when he loses subscribers.
Yes, he will. And stock plummeted 16 points.
Oh, yeah, I saw that number go down.
Yeah.
I saw that graph.
Just finally, these are just some miscellaneous David Zaslav points that I wanted to bring up that are relevant and important to this. He apparently had 6 new seats of the Warner Bros. Discovery board to fill, and he said that diversity is not going to be a priority, so he filled them all with 6 white men.
Yep.
Was on a focus, that's what I said. This happened a little bit ago, but I didn't realize this. He fired Warner Brothers chief executive Ann Sarnoff, who was hired by AT&T. She was one of the highest ranking women in all of Hollywood. She basically ran Warner Media. She was fired, and her seat was never filled. Zaslav is not going to replace her, and also shouldn't have fired her. Kids programming and animation, and kids programming and kids animation are going to see massive layoffs and massive cuts. So as we talked about, like, he's putting more money into HBO Max, we're talking about, like, we might get the first season of Gremlins Secret of the Mogwai, but we're not getting that second season. Harley Quinn, the animated series, is probably on the chopping block at this point.
Hard to say. We'll see.
I have a hard time believing that something like Doom Patrol survives this, quite honestly.
I believe Harley will survive. Yeah, but Doom Patrol seems more like a higher cost. Yeah.
Yeah. And oh yeah, I wrote down, apparently doesn't believe women watch scripted programming, which we've already gone over.
Yeah, and this
That's
is
everything.
Specifically what just baffles me is this pullback on animation and younger viewer animation.
Bro, they're Warner Brothers.
They own Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network, which has been like championing the progression of children's cartoons for the past decade in such a major way. We've talked about it copious amounts of times with Steven Universe, Adventure Time. Like I firmly stand by that. Things like the Owl House, which we love, which is a Disney product, would not exist without the things that Cartoon Network has done to push that whole field forward.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is all gonna, and Brandon noticed a good point. Like other people noticed it, and Brandon asked about it because he was like, "Wait, is this true?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is. I have known this." Only 3 cartoons, 2 cartoons currently have like new episodes still releasing on Cartoon Network, and everything else is rehashes. Teen Titans Go and Craig of the Creek.
Yes, that's insane.
And We Baby Bears. Those are the 3 cartoons that have new, and everything else is like in limbo. We don't know when new episodes come, or if
is that a
shows
channel
are
just
unofficially canceled.
Is that a channel of just like reruns then?
Mostly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I obviously I haven't watched Cartoon Network in so long, but like I just assume like every other station, there's a bunch
Cartoon
of new
Network.
stuff.
Cartoon Network has always been this way. Within a certain amount of time, like they'll still, like right now on Cartoon Network, you'll still get episodes of Steven Universe will still air. Steven Universe has been over for a while, and Gumball is still a feature of it, and Gumball's been over for a while. So like you'll still get those in rotation and everything, and that's always been the case. Like Dexter would be over for a while, we'd still get Dexter's Lab and stuff like that. That's not unusual. What's unusual is the amount of time it's been without us getting any clear confirmation on some of the shows that are out there. Are they unofficially canceled, or what's going on? We haven't gotten new episodes of them for a while.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that We Bare Bears was quietly canceled, and We Baby Bears was kind of like the courtesy new show that the team got instead. Now, like they've said, like the team has said, like they just had more ideas they wanted to do with We Baby Bears, that they felt like they reached where they wanted to with We Bare Bears. They weren't like going for anything in particular. They felt like they liked where they ended with the We Bare Bears movie. Cool, that's fine. But like these things are so in flux. It's just baffling to me for Zaslav to be like, yeah, we're just gonna back off animation as a whole and like family friendly content. And I'm like, you own Cartoon Network. That is a pillar of animation, television animation.
Warner Brothers, more so than Disney, quite honestly, is known for animated television.
Yes,
Disney is obviously known for animated movies. That was a huge selling point of that company. Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, as Ben said, Animaniacs. There are so many animated shows. Cartoon Network in general, Hanna-Barbera, all of Hanna-Barbera, like all of these shows. All came from Warner Brothers. That's Warner Brothers'. What was their major brand for decades? Don't
forget, Cartoon Network also comes hand in hand with Adult Swim. So both of those.
Adult Swim, Boomerang.
Yeah. So that's jarring and uncomfortable, and I'm deeply, deeply devastated because I feel like we're going to lose a lot of great talent in the cartoon field.
Yeah,
I think we're going to lose a lot of. Shows. So he talked about specifically like kids programming animation, and I do wonder if he just doesn't know that there's adult animated shows out there that he himself, his company produces, like Rick and Morty and Harley Quinn.
He seems like a guy who's like, animation's for babies. Like he doesn't realize that like cartoon is like a medium, not like a thing that like only kids watch.
This is also a bigger thing that people like him, people like his generation, people like his kind of executive look down on animation and always have been and always have. He's not Kevin Feige.
No.
And the thing is, and I want to talk about real quickly, just like the idea of bringing in Alan Horn is fine. It's whatever. But the thing is, one of the major reasons why this kind of like 10-year plan doesn't work for like DC movies, real quickly, just to segue, like the idea of like Kevin Feige, there is no one like him. He is a one-of-a-kind producer that we are quite honestly lucky to have working in Hollywood. There is no one else like him, and every single time someone tries to be like him, they fail, because at the end of the day, they are not what he is, which is a fundamentally good person who is also a huge nerd.
Also, none of them have the patience. because you want to
Yes.
build a universe. It takes time. The
What was the
Marvel
quote?
universe.
What was the quote? I think I have it. Like if you have Warner Bros. Wants so badly to be where Marvel Studios is, but it lacks the patience and understanding of its characters to ever get there. It wants billion-dollar hits without making $300 million hits first. It wants all the marquee characters assembled without building up a world of supporting B and C level characters the audience care about.
Yep.
It's long been the fallacy of anyone trying to replicate the MCU that they didn't understand that when Kevin Feige set out to do what he was doing, he dreamed of the MCU, of the Avengers and all that, but he didn't set it as a goalpost.
You need foundation.
His goalpost was Iron Man, and then his goalpost was Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2. Like he did it bit by bit. He didn't do it starting out Avengers.
Yes.
And certainly not starting out Endgame. Like,
Yes.
That's not how it was. And so many people don't. Anyway, I am. Go ahead, Ben. You say what you're going to say.
I was going to say, every time someone or some new guy comes in and says, hey, we got to do it like the way Marvel or Disney is doing it. Sorry for the sports analogy, but it always feels like when a football team hires part of the coaching staff from the New England Patriots. Because they, in their brain, they're like, oh, this guy's staying under the head coach, Bill Belichick, who won a crap ton of Super Bowls for the Patriots. So obviously, if the new coach, we're going to make this offensive coordinator, do whatever coordinator, our head coach or our team, they studied under the hoodie. They know all the tricks of the trade, which guess what? 10 times out of 10 times when they bring the coaching staff, they would bring someone under Bill Belichick as their new head coach, that team fails.
But that guy's not Bill Belichick. That's why.
Exactly.
You know, at the end of the day, like these DC films, I've been more excited about every single DC film now than I ever was when they had a plan. All of these films, Blue Beetle, Batgirl, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Shazam, The Fury of the Gods, I'm stoked for all these movies because there isn't a major plan.
This is
because they can just do whatever they want. Have auteur filmmakers design and create these films that are unique to each other.
After the Batman, I've never been more like in a positive place with DC because they're just making good movies. Yeah. They're not thinking about what this new plan is going to be now.
You don't have to worry about watching all these other films. You can just go and enjoy a Batman film. You can go and enjoy Aquaman. You can go and enjoy Shazam. You don't have to worry about seeing everything else beforehand.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, once again, Marvel created something that obviously at this point in time cannot be recreated. They just found the magic secret sauce and they're sticking with it, and it still works for them to this day.
It's weird. It's weird that like the only other one that's worked is the Monsterverse. Mm-hmm. I find that very interesting that like of all of the ones that have tried, Dark Universe, King Arthur, Robin Hood, Scoob, which has already failed. Like all these, like remember there was a Hanna-Barbera movie universe. Mm-hmm. All these things have all failed. Except for the Monsterverse.
True.
To be fair, I think the Monsterverse has mostly succeeded because only one film didn't have Godzilla in it or in the title and happened to be very good. Yes. And were that not the case, it might not necessarily be like, well, it's a successful cinematic universe. It'd be like, well, it's a successful Godzilla franchise.
It's a successful Godzilla trilogy, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Very true.
We will get there. I think like the things they're doing sound very promising. So I think we can say like the Monsterverse cinematic universe is successful and is working, but like, you know, they haven't had to super duper test that. Like we're not getting the Rodan spinoff here to see, like, can it do it? You know,
Atra.
Yeah, right. So yes, with caveat, yes.
Yeah.
I think like my big thing that I want to get to is that for me, like it's I guess the Batgirl thing is terrible. Obviously, I'm very upset about that. But like, if I'm being honest, like taking all this news in total, the DC live action film is like the bottom tip of the iceberg of what's upsetting to me here. Everything that moves up in notches from that is just like infuriating to the point where I'm like, I don't have a lot of faith in. I'm appalled. I love Cartoon Network shows. I'm afraid that the future of Cartoon Network right now, the immediate future, is going to be very sad.
In the same vein, HBO Max is constantly cited as the best streaming service in the market right now. It has the best content, it has the best library, and it feels like it's being shunted maybe not even gutted, but it feels like it's being done dirty.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to get to is that, like, I am concerned for the DC films. The DC films were in a shitty place before. So, like, I can live in a shitty place with the DC live action films again if I have to. Sure, that's fine. What I'm concerned about is things like Harley Quinn. Probably like Peacemaker. James Gunn says it's safe right now, but I don't know. And things like that I really adore. These projects that I'm afraid there's just not going to be an avenue for anymore. I'm afraid Zaslav is going to kill the DC animated film that goes straight to DVD and Blu-ray. I firmly believe he's going to chop it completely. I think it will die for a while. I firmly believe that right now. It's
what was the last
dead.
What was the last anime movie called that came out?
Beware My Power.
Okay, sorry, what's one before that? Because I want to look at sales. And that's a brand new one. Is it the Batman one?
I think it might have been Injustice.
Okay. I'm just gonna see if I can find sales for that.
Is this also mean we're not gonna get any more of the Mortal Kombat animated films?
Yeah,
I think honestly they did 2 of those, and the second one, no spoilers, it ends a story. I never thought there was gonna be a third one.
Okay, never mind.
Injustice, the movie, has made less than $3 million.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that movie cost probably that much to make. So I would not be shocked if we see less animated movies too.
And because that's what they're designed for, is that home media content. I think he's gonna the same no economic value that he's gonna see in it. So it all just steps up from there. That like because of things like American Pickle being removed for a tax write-off, which is absolutely ridiculous. Seth Rogen is a person who I highly doubt will ever work with Warner Brothers while they're under Zaslav again. I don't expect that. Not that I know what he would have done with them, but the thing is, like, all of these people, the people that I want to watch make things, probably aren't going to go to Warner Brothers and Discovery right now because of what's happening. There's a lot of people that I think are just going to leave.
Unless
that's unfortunate.
Unless you're making, Dune sized movies, unless you're making another Justice League, I can't see you being a filmmaker wanting to make anything with Warner Brothers on a small scale, like, at all. Like,
yeah, and Sparks brought up a good point of like the DC films, a lot of them are making a lot of money, so he'd be ridiculous to cancel a lot of them. He could course correct, he can reboot, he could do whatever he wants, but like there's a lot of money to be made in an Aquaman trilogy, which is wild to say. The Shazam films did well with their budget. The Batman made almost $1 billion, and honestly, most analysts assume that it would have if it didn't have the 45-day theatrical release, go streaming. But like you look at like Harley Quinn, Doom Patrol, Peacemaker. These shows are definitely on the chopping block. They are shows that he could look at and say, and the DC anime films too, like, he's looking at these like money, and if they're not making that kind of money, eyeballs are not money. Streaming services make money based on subscribers.
Yeah. We've talked about. We've done this podcast for 6 years now. We've talked about plenty of mergers, plenty of things like this. This is really the first time where I felt like I don't see any positives.
This is what
the future really seems grim. It seems grim for Warner Brothers.
This is what everyone was worried about when Disney bought Fox. Mm-hmm. What we're seeing with Discovery and Warner Brothers is what everyone was worried about with Disney bought Fox. I don't think it has been a net positive, but I think what happened with Disney and Fox is far better than what's happening here.
I'll tell you what, we're talking about a new Predator movie today, which I doubt would have happened under a different company.
It's essentially the equivalent of Batgirl. And they let it go.
Yes, 100%.
They let it come out. Should it have gone to theaters? 100%, I believe that. But at least it came out. We are in the absolute nightmare scenario right now at Warner Brothers. I wish that Warner Brothers had been bought by Paramount. I wish that Warner Brothers had gone to someone else who gave a shit.
Wait, Sparks, Paramount?
Oh, what are you doing,
Paramount? What are you doing?
Paramount.
We know.
Oh wait, you weren't there for that, Ben.
Yeah, I was.
He watched it.
No, he was on the Comic. He was on the Comic-Con episode. You're right.
Paramount's doing such amazing moves. They would have cared about what they're doing here. I almost wish Warner Brothers was anywhere else. Honestly, I almost wish Warner Brothers
Discovery
AT&T. This is the worst case scenario. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to get better until it will eventually get better. And the only reason it's going to get better is because eventually laws are going to force it to. And subscribers are going to make Zaslav realize he has to repivot. But it's going to take time to get there. The immediate future looks bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The problem of like when you get to this, you said something interesting. You said I almost kind of wish that it stayed with AT&T. A lot of what Zaslav has been doing is to pivot away from AT&T, and I get it. I get the concept that AT&T wanted to invest 95% into streaming and 5% into theatrical. You know what? I was never crazy about that. I thought that that was the wrong levels to go at that. But it honestly yielded some good results. We had good movies and we had some incredible shows that were released out of it.
Look, AT&T,
and so like that's almost what I'm trying to say is like that's almost a better alternative at this point.
Well, the reality is what we saw is that AT&T, they made bad choices. There were things that they cut. Like there's a lot of shitty things AT&T did with Warner Bros. That's true. When they got to the point where they knew they were just going to be done with it and sell it, they stopped caring. And when they stopped caring,
Yeah.
things were allowed to flourish.
Artists
And
can
that's
just
when
make
projects were
movies.
allowed to just be made, and they did well. AT&T went hands off, and everything went well.
Yeah.
This is why we're in a nightmare scenario.
It's so every time the situation comes up, it's just like, just make a good product and people will see it. I don't know. Every one of these companies is like trying to like focus test and do the quadrants and be like, if you make something good, people will see it. It's that easy.
This is the same problem that people are talking about, like the Netflix bubble is starting to burst. And I would agree with that. Like, because Netflix puts out so much, that a lot of things are falling by the wayside. A lot of things aren't getting eyeballs on it because they're putting out so much at such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
As far as
and
like
they're canceling things that do get eyeballs.
Yeah, and so like we talked about like how many shows were out at the same time that we were doing Fake Nerds watches for. How many movies does Netflix put out a week? Like these things, like AT&T saw that during the pandemic and said we want to keep doing that. That's why movies like American Pickle and Moonshot and whatever's. That's why those movies didn't get the eyeballs that Zaslav thinks they should have gotten. It's because there were so much. AT&T put so much into streaming. There were so many expensive movies that were just dumped onto streaming that didn't get a lot of eyeballs. And I gotta tell you, if American Pickle had like a month alone, I think that movie would have done much better.
I mean, even putting that aside, like it shouldn't. At a certain point, it shouldn't matter for the subscription streamer services. You should be putting out content that is diversified and variety, and some of it won't do as well. But the goal is not to have every single thing get all the eyeballs and hit. At least it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have enough content there to bring plenty of eyeballs that even if those eyeballs that are coming are not watching every single thing that you put on the service, they're coming for something.
That's what going back to the Netflix model, that's how they started. They started by saying, we're going to give you free reign because we know that people are going to find it. We're going to put it on our streaming service. People will find it. And they waited for that audience to find the thing. Netflix no longer does that anymore. That's why they canceled something after the first weekend, because if it doesn't get eyeballs the first weekend, then it's a failure. That's why Netflix's bubble is starting to burst. That was what AT&T was taking inspiration from, not making things that for people to. Well, Zaslav thinks that we should be making. What am I trying to say? Zaslav thinks that people that if something goes on the streaming service that first weekend, it needs to be watched by billions of people, by every single person who is. AT&T knew that if you just put something on there, its audience will find it.
That's the thing about streaming things. Like whether you release it all at once or bi-weekly, like. You put it on a streaming service, it's going to take time to grow its audience. And once the show was good, that's why Stranger Things is like one of the most watched things on the planet, right? Like, if it's good on a streaming service, enough people will find it eventually.
That's why Peacemaker
you just got to make
well.
it good. Exactly.
That's why Peacemaker went well. Peacemaker did well because it was released weekly. People found it. That show had such good word of mouth. People found it. Our Flag Means Death didn't get popular until after the first season was over.
Until people found out what it was really about and like became invested in it. The thing that I'm so shocked about is like you have HBO, the scripted stuff. You have Discovery, which is a lot of reality stuff. if you just combine them, why are you cutting anything? You have both markets. Why are you trying to combine it so everybody watches everything? Instead of just having, hey, there's your Discovery stuff, here's your Warner Bros. Stuff. Let's just keep going as is. Like, I'm so confused why we have to cut so much stuff to try to diversify when just you have two different markets that can just be in one streaming service. Like, it seems like the worst way to do this.
You know, a good example of how I think Discovery Plus should be handled in this merger is how Disney handled the not ESPN, National
Geographic.
Oh, National Geographic.
National Geographic was bought after Disney Plus. It was bought specifically to have Disney Plus content. That's exactly what that purchase was for. And it is a tab on Disney Plus with some great movies and some great TV shows.
Yeah.
That people find.
Yeah.
That's Discovery Plus is not more popular than National Geographic.
No. And the thing is, like, again, HBO Max already has, like, hey, here's the thing. Do you want to watch a DC property? You want to watch a Cartoon Network thing? You want to watch an HBO thing? Just add the reality option. And then you have a billion more people watching your shit on the same thing. Like, I don't understand why it feels so unnecessary to do all this extra work, all this extra remerging and canceling when you could just combine them and go as is.
Isn't Crunchyroll also on HBO Max?
Yes, because it is fundamentally, Zaslav believes that Discovery Plus is the streaming equivalent to Disney Plus, and it's not. HBO Max is, and he does not think that way. He does not think that HBO Max is on the same level as Disney Plus. He thinks Discovery Plus is, and that is the opposite way to think about that.
Baffling man.
I don't care how well 90 Day Fiancé does. Nobody gives a shit about Discovery until Shark Week happens.
Ooh, haha. Yeah, man, this is the darkest timeline, unfortunately. Yeah.
I mean, all the shit that this guy has been saying. I know earlier I said to me it feels like the end of Warner Bros. Obviously, Warner Bros. Isn't going to go anywhere specifically, but the fact that this guy wants to cut the animation, the fact that he decided to cut Batgirl for stupid reasons and pulling off their own films, like they're pulling off American Pickle and those other films that Brand mentioned earlier that were already released as HBO Max originals.
Moonstruck came out 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
that's the new Cole Sprouse rom-com.
The reason why you keep those up there is because they're HBO. They were made for your streaming service. It's like Netflix decided to say, "Hey, we're going to take Stranger Things off because we're done."
Yes, that's exactly. It's like Stranger Things is a more popular thing, but that's exactly what it is. If Netflix took off an original that they created, like we're talking about Day Shift next week. If Netflix after 3 weeks was just like, okay, Day Shift no longer available. Now the difference between Netflix doing that and HBO Max doing that is because HBO Max, their films are still available on VOD, whereas Netflix is not. So American Pickle, The Witches, all those films, they are not available on HBO Max. They are available VOD.
Wait, The Witches, that the Anne Hathaway one?
The Roald Dahl.
Oh. I haven't even seen that movie yet. No, I can't even watch it.
Oh, yeah, I remember watching that movie.
Well, that is insanity. I can't.
I gotta tell you guys. An American Pickle is good. It's very good.
I believe it.
It is a great soulful performance from Seth Rogen. 2 great soulful performances from Seth Rogen, and it is a bummer that movie is not accessible anymore.
I mean, I hate everything about what this guy's doing with Warner Bros. And Ryan, didn't you say that he's also like a huge Republican Trump supporter, whatever?
Yeah, it's all true.
And I gotta tell you, the films that he is cutting, it is suspect. I'm not going to say that these decisions are racist, but it is suspect that is a thing.
I agree. I do want to point out just because I know Brandon will appreciate this, and this does piggyback into something I know he and I would want to talk about and touch on. You can purchase American Pickle on DVD. It's manufactured on demand from Warner Brothers. You can
on DVD.
On DVD, not on Blu-ray, which
was in 2004.
But the important thing is that like at least there's that.
Yeah.
To an extent, like that is still there, which really is piggybacking to like what I know Brandon and I want to champion, which is this is why physical media is always important.
Yeah.
It's something I've been talking about with a couple of other people for a while. Like if I have the physical copy, even if the streamer is available or the digital code, I got the digital code with the Blu-ray, I still prefer to put the Blu-ray into my thing because streaming services are not calibrated for the correct audio mix for your television.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you constantly will have a thing where you're like, they are talking too quiet. Oh, but the explosions and the music are too loud. Now I have to turn the TV back down. It's because the audio mix is bad and incorrect.
I have a bone to pick with Disney Plus. A lot of their films, especially their Marvel films, are too dark. Like, quite honestly, the color they are badly color corrected.
So
every time I would be watching sorry Sparks, but every time I'll be watching DuckTales on my TV downstairs through Disney Plus, intro stupid loud, everything else super quiet.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly playing with the volume control.
Streaming services notoriously do not put the effort in to have their audio mixes created correctly or calibrated right. Can happen with the visuals too. This is a huge issue that also is going to come up, I think, as like the streaming things continue. But this is why physical media has always been an important thing to Brandon and I, because when you have the digital access, that can get taken away at any time.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I don't want to like get on a high horse and talk about physical media. I think importantly, physical media, I talked about a lot. Netflix being the premier streaming service. That's why HBO Max was so successful in the beginning. Netflix does not have a large classic selection. There are a lot of films that are just not available pre 1980 on Netflix, because their audience isn't watching them. What was so cool about HBO Max is that they had Turner Classic Movies. They had a bunch of older films, a huge catalog of classic movies, historical films, Criterion Collection.
To be fair, unfortunately, they can only really put on the ones that were made by Warner Brothers. Anything else that's on Turner Classic Movies that was done by another studio, they can't really put on HBO Max, which is a bummer of it. But yeah, continue.
But so one of the things, the reason why I always want to champion physical media is more so because a lot of films are not available streaming. A lot of films that are history. This is our history. These are films that are important that are going to constantly get lost to time as things get more and more into the digital age, because younger people aren't going to want to seek out the older films. And it is important, like things like Criterion Collection, things like what Arrow is doing. Like Arrow, with they did the RoboCop movies and the Friday the 13th movies, the Gamera movies. Like those people are very important because they are keeping film history alive, and the only place they can do that is through physical media, because the streaming services aren't getting those films.
Right.
Yep. And like Disney also has a good Disney is the fact that nothing has left Disney Plus is a miracle, because things are constantly being bounced between HBO Max and Peacock. But like Disney Plus also has a large selection of their classic movies, because they have a lot of films, and so like that's what these type of streaming services were so beneficial for, is to keep their classic movies, and the physical media again keeping history alive.
And to be fair, just to bounce off the point I made earlier, streaming services have been notoriously better for older films. It is a good way to watch them. If you're going to Criterion, if you're going to HBO Max to the Turner section, those films were pretty much only uploaded with one type of audio track that was calibrated one time because it was done right. And that's it. So you're not going to have those same issues that you have with the modern films, where there's way too many different types of tracks and everything built. Older films tend to just have their consistent, you got it. It's supposed to be this way. It's supposed to sound this way and look this way. Here you go. So streaming is actually notoriously good for older content, but the new content is where it suffers.
And then you have this thing where these films that are made for HBO Max, that are movies available on HBO Max, that are made for the streaming service to be available on that streaming service forever is the idea. And Netflix, we talk about it all the time. Netflix hardly ever releases DVDs and Blu-rays. I'm shocked that Mitchell's vs. the Machines got a physical media release, quite honestly.
Oh, it was just so popular.
And I'm happy to have it. I'm so happy to own it. I bought The Batman. It's available on HBO Max, but I love that movie, so I bought The Batman. And so these films, if I have them, they cannot be taken away. But we should never have been put in a position where these movies could be taken away.
Yes, it's a nightmare scenario for the artists who make it too. The showrunner of Dickinson used this as a moment to talk about, this is why I have no faith in the longevity that the streaming service provides, and I demanded a physical copy of the show I made because I spent 10 years making it, and I have the only physical copy because they gave it to me. And that's how important it is to them, because they're like, I don't have faith that this will be around forever.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Things look dark. Hopefully, in the long run, things will change and get better again. But it is going to be a rough time with the Warner Brothers content for a while.
This unfortunately feels like it's gonna get bad, but enough people will complain, and they'll clearly see the money isn't there like they thought it would. That it'll take 5 years before we can come back to happiness.
Oh, in 5 years, Discovery will sell Warner Brothers again.
There you go.
The only silver lining I see is that this will force more laws that are important to protect the artists in streaming content. I do think that that's going to ramp up how soon we see that come into effect because of things like this. I think it's going to be in response to that. I do suspect that someone is going to sue over these decisions. I don't know who it will be, but a lawsuit is probably impending, and new laws will come from it.
I bet soon we hear those directors get a Marvel movie.
Something. Yeah.
I bet that by soon we're hearing that they're signed up with Marvel.
It would not it would not shock me if we see a massive lawsuit come about that is like teams talking to each other, because a lot of people are creating the buzz that like I promise you lawyers are having discussions right now.
This is the same thing as Scarlett Johansson.
But I was going to say like with people whose movies and shows have now been taken from HBO Max, talking with the Batgirl team as well, and like just a big old lawsuit of like this is not okay. And even if they lose it, it will still prompt those laws to change.
That's what I really hope that happens, because like again, if it was just Batgirl, like that's a shame, but like it wasn't just Batgirl. It was multiple movies this happened to. They got scrapped after they were almost done. I'm just like, how do they just get away with that? How do thousands of people between multiple movies just like it's like a year of their life doesn't exist anymore? Like how is that even allowed? I don't get it.
The really shitty thing is this has never happened before.
Yeah,
there is no precedent to this. This has never happened before.
That's why there will be some kind of ramification. We're going to see it, and it's just going to take time.
Yeah,
and I hope that the artists get to champion for themselves and changes do come, because artists who have worked in this medium deserve it.
Yeah. And I will be on all the hottest torrent websites looking for that Batgirl.1080p.exe rip. I'll be waiting for it, baby.
It's good to know also that the cast crew of Batgirl will land on their feet. You know, Zaslav, I know, is trying to be like, oh, we're just quickly trying to find places for them again because they weren't the problem, and it's like you're not getting them back.
No, it's going to be tough because I think Warner Brothers was the big company where Brendan Fraser's been making his comeback. He's had multiple projects with them over the past few years, and I don't know if it'll stay that way. We'll see.
Yeah. I watched the video. Go ahead. I was gonna say I watched the video on Twitter of
his happy birthday.
Yeah, his happy birthday. And I'm like, that makes me so mad.
I think Brendan Fraser is still going to be on the upswing of a comeback.
Well, he's got that The Whale movie with Darren Aronofsky.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this is going to sour his relationship with Warner Brothers. We'll see. Like, you know, I think Doom Patrol, if that gets taken away from him too.
Oh my God!
Will be a nail in the coffin for him with them. Leslie Grace, up and comer from In the Heights, moving on to Batgirl. Like, I think this is the roughest for her. I hope that she gets something else big for herself, because this, the added blow of like all the racists and everything who didn't want her to be Batgirl to begin with, having been attacking her this whole time, and then getting to taunt her and say, "Haha, we won," is just like she deserves the karmic come around on that.
Yeah.
One.
All the Snyder Cult bros who are championing this movie's defeat because they think they'll get their franchise back. If you wanted the Snyder Cut, sorry guys, it doesn't pay to be hypocritical. You should be wanting this movie back. Is it really about artist intention?
Not with all of them, though.
Anyway,
you still had your J.K. Simmons. Like, what are you complaining about?
Right,
you're still getting Batfleck.
Anyway, the I don't want to get too much on this.
No, I think that was a good discussion. There's a lot that we're going to have to sit with for a while.
At least
I want to
real quick. At least like we still got Shazam 2, which is nice. We still got Black Adam. I hope that's good. I still got Dune.
I am.
So like
You
I'm
already
trying to
brought
be-
it up, but I am terrified for Black Canary because we just talked about Misha Green losing the Tomb Raider project, and
Yeah.
and she's lost Lovecraft Country, and now this. Like, that's awful. Misha Green deserves more.
I am really concerned for Black Canary.
Me too.
Also, I gotta be perfectly honest with you. I don't think there's a world where Zaslav makes. If he was in charge when Denis Villeneuve was going into Dune, I don't think that movie would have made it.
Yeah, I think it would have been too big of a risk.
Yeah.
That first movie. Yeah.
No, I'm a little concerned because I'm happy that second movie got through this deal.
Mhm.
But I'm a little concerned about maybe getting Dune Messiah.
I agree, but I'll just be happy if they get at least Dune done.
Yeah.
Like the Dune Messiah is a much bigger, even bigger movie. So like, as long as we can get Dune, like, baby.
I just want Denis Villeneuve to have his trilogy.
Yeah.
I think Dune proved its success, and as long as the second one is also it'll probably have a bigger showing, honestly, than the first one did, because it won't go like some people waited for the HBO Max on Dune Part 1. I suspect the theater turnout for Dune Part 2 will be bigger.
I hope so. Yeah.
I think Dune's probably in a good spot going forward. I think it will prove itself as a successful thing. So I'm not too worried about Dune at the moment.
I want to bring up some of Mag's comments because he was talking in the comments for a bit. I'm going to be livid if they mess with Blue Beetle or Static. Me too, honestly. And he is also worried about Young Justice. Someone tell me how good season 4 of Young Justice is, because season 3 was not good.
I've heard it's a huge turnaround. Big
Oh, I
turnaround.
hope
People seem to really like the season, but that's just anecdotal. People on Twitter saying.
Yeah, because I kind of wonder, like, did those people also like season 3? Because, like, I'll admit, apparently, I'm in the minority about season 3, which is surprising to me. Not like a small minority, but like, more people liked it than didn't.
Yeah.
I think it's because people gaslit into being like, I've waited this long, I'm going to like it no matter what.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he made a community joke in here, and just gonna community.
I suspect that I have heard in general Young Justice season 4 is better than 3. That's just a general sentiment I've been gathering. So maybe that's worth it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Trailers.
T-Talk.
Devotion.
Real quick, that was a good discussion.
That was
a good discussion.
Good job, everybody.
Yeah.
A pat on the back, everybody. Good. Let's call it a tie. Devotion.
Yeah, I think this looks awesome.
Jonathan Majors, Glenn Powell.
Jonathan Majors just can't get away from the Korean War, and Glenn Powell just can't get away from flying planes.
Yeah,
it's very true.
Congrats to both of them. No, I think this looks really cool. The fact that it's based off a true story, it just looks well made. I think a lot of the shots of them in the planes going around for this time period look really good. Sure, it's not Maverick, but like it doesn't have to be. It still just looks like a well made film.
It's also a period piece, so they got to do a lot more.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love I just like the idea of Jonathan Majors and Glenn Powell getting to play together. I think they're both incredible talents. So this has me. I think this is really cool.
Yeah, I echo everything you say. I think it looks really well shot. There's definitely going to be, with Jonathan Majors, there's some like high emotion that he's going through. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
You know what I will say about it? This trailer I think is super good because it just looks like it's telling me like giving me a good movie. It just looks like it's doing that. Even though it says it's a true story, I don't feel that like. And this is the big emotional swell of the downturn in their lives. It's not selling me that notion. It's just selling me the film. And I think it looks very good for that.
Yeah. Chainsaw Man.
This trailer got me more hyped than I could have ever imagined in my life. I swear to God, I'm gonna start reading that book right now. I swear, I'm gonna read it this week. That trailer, I didn't know what the comic was about. I didn't know there was devils and humans, and he can be a devil and a human. Wild shit.
Real quick, I want to tell you, there's an app. It's called Manga Plus. You can put it on your phone or your tablets or anything. It's completely free, and you can read Chainsaw Man.
I'm doing it right.
This is perfectly legal. This is a perfectly legal thing. This helps them to get the numbers to understand what people in other countries are interested in reading.
Manga Plus?
Manga Plus.
Got it.
So go ahead and read Chainsaw Man to your heart's content.
I have that.
The animation is exceptional. I love it so much. So now I can finally talk to you just a little bit about the Gun Devil. God damn it, have I been waiting to talk about the Gun Devil. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I am going to tell you that the Gun Devil is essentially the antagonist of Chainsaw Man. The secondary antagonist, I'll say, like the background antagonist.
I'm sorry, I have to go to the bathroom. Don't move on until I'm back.
Okay. But I will tell you that I now know for sure Chainsaw Man, the anime, is going to be 24 episodes. It's going to be cut up halfway through its season, and this entire first season will be the entirety of the part 1 story, which means we're getting a whole complete story of Chainsaw Man.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be awesome. The Gun Devil, they do some exceptional stuff. It's very powerful. This is something I wanted to bring up when we were talking about some of the recent shootings a while ago. Chainsaw Man is incredibly evocative because the concept is that, like, guns are in this world of devils and everything, guns are still the most lethal goddamn thing on the planet because there is the Gun Devil. And it's a horrible, like, terrorist representation and what it feels like, and they do such powerful storytelling around that. I truly, truly cannot wait to watch this and gush about it because it looks so goddamn good.
Yeah, the animation is insane. I love it. I think these are some of the best trailers we've had in a while for the next 2 shows we're talking about. But like, animation is so hot in this. The violence looks so good. What is this going to be on again?
This will be on. This is Crunchyroll release. Yeah. I will definitely have access to it because I will be watching this as it comes out, and I will share that around.
Ben, how do you feel about men with chainsaw faces?
Looks absolutely, I don't want to say terrifying, but it does look different. Like when the chainsaw was coming out of his head, because the whole time I was like, what is Chainsaw Man? How is this thing? Because Sparks was talking about how it looks good, and I was like, yes, it does look good, but what is this all about? The fact that you have a guy who's like part human, part devil, and he can turn himself into the Chainsaw Man, and it looks great. You're right, the action looks good, the animation's stunning, and I also downloaded Manga Plus, so I'm trying to get through the legal stuff right now, so I can add Chainsaw Man to my to-read list.
God, yes, I would love it. It's 91 chapters, baby. Chainsaw Man. Just to recap for Brandon, now that Brandon's back, I will let him know. Yes, Chainsaw Man is releasing this whole first season. Will tell the entirety of the part 1 story, which is fantastic. And it will be broken up by 12 and 12 episodes. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be here with this incredible. I don't want to overhype it, but I'm so excited for you guys to check it out.
There's a lot of manga on here. Wow.
Yeah, you guys can have a great time with this.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's all free?
The toilet seat fell.
Oh.
While I was peeing.
Oh.
Oh no.
That's unfortunate for you.
So
It was an ordeal.
it looks like it's up to chapter 50 for free. They have up to chapter 50.
Oh no, if you go to the next page, then there's the rest.
It's all there. It's all 101 chapters is there. Oh my god.
Yes,
Damn,
as I said, part 2 recently started.
Okay.
And so I'm reading that right now. Really great. The intention does seem to be, and I'm glad, they will not do the next chunk of Chainsaw Man until part 2 is officially done in the manga, which is great. That's what you want. You are going to be completely satisfied with part 1. You don't immediately need the next part of the story. It has an ending. It's great.
Love it. Too hyped.
It looks so good. Brandon, you wanted to say some stuff about Chainsaw Man?
No, I wanted to say something about the next one.
Oh, okay, got you. But you want to see Chainsaw Man, right? That looks so good.
Looks very good.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
I love the animation like a lot. When you know there's money behind animation, then you feel like you can like see the movement. One of my favorite things about animation, about anime specifically, is like how like speed is portrayed, and like how like the camera like zooms around like the speed lines, and it's just like, and like I just think that's really cool.
Fluidity.
Want to talk about Cyberpunk Edge Runners?
Oh shit.
Listen, guys, real quick. Welcome to Night City, where chrome exceeds the flesh. That immediately is like a banger line. And then I watched this trailer, which is a 3-minute long trailer. It was pretty long, at least the version I watched. This looks insane. And it doesn't just look insane because it's Trigger. As a fan of the game, they aren't just doing the thing where, it takes place in a cyberpunk universe. This takes place in the locations of the game. It is the exact same city, is the same side characters. It is the locations you go to in the game. So I was recognizing shit in this trailer from playing that game for 60 hours. And I think that is a really cool way to incorporate, doing like multimedia representation, like with a franchise, but actually like feels in the game. It's really cool. Some of the visuals in this thing were blowing my mind. Like, the thing about Cyberpunk that's so cool is like people are robots. The chrome exceeds the flesh, and hands become guns, hands become mantis blades. There's net hacking going on. People get suicided. You can kill other people with their net hacking. This is one of the coolest trailers I've ever seen in my life.
So thanks to Michael, our friend, when we went to see we watched Premiere together, myself, Sparks, and Michael.
Yep.
Premiere, one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my freaking life. Seriously, guys, religious experience. But like, so he told me that like the person that I really like isn't Trigger. It's Hiroyuki Imaishi. Imaishi. He's the guy who created Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill. There are 2 Studio Trigger episodes in Star Wars Visions. He directed The Twins, which I think is the superior one.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the director for Premiere. So it's this guy, and he's the lead director and creator of Cyberpunk Edge Runners. So I'm like, guys, I'm so excited for the show. This is one of my most anticipated shows.
For real.
Period.
It's true. I'm glad you brought that up because Studio Trigger is a very good animation studio. They do have their misses, usually not because of animation, but because of narratives. Specifically, I remember talking to you guys about Brave New Animal, which was really pretty and had a really great setup, and then ended in a horribly supporting the bad version of Zootopia, supporting racist concepts of its animal designs, and bad ending. So Imaishi being involved gives me 1000%. Oh, it's gonna be so good because Imaishi does not miss.
This is the thing that he did. This is he did Premiere and then The Twins and then this. So I'm so Kill la Kill is so good. Gurren Lagann is so good. I'm so stoked for this because he's one of my favorite directors. Period. I'm so excited to see this because he's involved in it. If it was any other person doing Cyberpunk 2077, I honestly would not care because I've never played that game. But it's him. This got me so damn hyped.
Yeah. The thing that is so crazy about this is they are throwing every Cyberpunk weapon, ability, character look, everything in the kitchen sink into this. There are so many abilities that I've used in the game. Specifically, the thing where the arms come apart or the hand becomes the 10 bullets. I'm just
that's so cool.
It's so good. And specifically, again, the one time I showed you the game Sparks where the dude's zip zapping around like an agent, that's fully featured. I'm just man, they get it. They don't just get how cool the world is. It's also really well animated. It's a perfect melding of 2 different things into a beautiful product. I am too hyped with you, Brandon.
Very excited.
So excited for this.
Hell yeah.
Great anime trailers. Great anime trailers.
Love it.
Cars on the Road.
You guys can have this one.
Great anime trailers. Great anime trailers.
I figure Sparks and I are probably the only 2 who have any passing interest in this.
Yeah, I just want to watch, honestly, because this looks kind of cool.
I think Cars is frankly at its best. Besides Cars 3 just being a good story, put that aside for a moment. Cars is at its best when it's having fun exploring the world that it crafts of if cars were real and what we do with it. Mm-hmm. So the idea of a road trip to further do that is A+. I think doing small little vignettes in that world, I think that's always a fun way to engage with cars.
I think it looks really inventive also. There's a lot of really cool set pieces, it looks like.
Yeah. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Like I said, that's when Cars I think exceeds is when it's just enjoying things it can do because of the quirkiness of its world. And
I was thinking I was thinking that like I probably wouldn't be as interested in this if Cars 3 wasn't so good, because I really like Cars 3. I think that movie's great. And so like maybe if that was the case, if that movie didn't come out like Cars 2 to Cars on the Road, maybe I wouldn't be too interested in this. But I do think there's actually quite a lot in this world that we're seeing between Lightning and Mater. I think the trailer though is badly cuts Lightning's lines. I don't think Owen Wilson is talking in the scenes that they've featured him in.
Yeah, that happens
weird.
a lot with these kinds of trailers, but I think you're probably right. I'm probably in the same boat, Brandon. I think I'm in a very positive place with Cars because of Cars 3, and where I'm like, yeah, I get it. I think also like I think it's nice to have this because Cars 3 prominently did not feature Mater. Mater is in about 2 scenes of Cars 3. It's just not focused on their friendship because that's not the story. So giving you kind of like here's Cars and here's Lightning and Mater though. As like a fun aside, I think is a good idea. I do hope there is some reference to Cruz or Cruz's appearance in it, just because I think Cruz was a important character for Cars 3. But it's fine if there isn't.
Sally is his girlfriend, right?
Sally is his girlfriend. Yeah,
she's back. I recognize her voice. She's back.
Yeah, Bonnie Hunt. It sounds like they've got the entire voice cast back.
Yeah,
which doesn't surprise me.
This is kind of cool because like, you know, you can tell that like Monsters at Work wasn't done by Pixar in-house. It was done by Disney Animation. Because this is on the level of what I expect from a Pixar animation.
Yeah. It's very much like when they do the dedicated Toy Story shorts, which also notably like Pixar does very well with taking their IP franchises and doing small stories with them. Toy Story exceeds very well with this. A lot of the Pixar shorts that are set in the worlds of the Incredibles shorts, the Monsters Inc. shorts, they're all very good. They know how to take these characters and do little small fun stories. Pixar's very good at that. So I suspect this will be very entertaining.
I'm excited for that new show that they're doing, the one that's by the guy who did Luca.
Yes.
I forgot the name of that.
The baseball one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name of it too, but yeah, I'm excited about that too. Pixar's first like dedicated television show.
Yeah. All right, then Star Wars Andor.
Oh my god.
Right?
God.
This is gonna sound like a dig, and it's partially a dig. It's nice to see Star Wars actually have a television show.
I was gonna say, like, this reminds me of Star Wars fan films you'll see on YouTube, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, we're focused on what we can do with the world of Star Wars at hand. And like there's that shot where someone's like walking through the woods and the Star Destroyer like comes over them and I'm like, this is the dream. This is just like living in the world of Star Wars is what we're doing. We see such incredible shots that we're gonna be like, I'm so glad we're gonna be at the Senate. We're gonna see Stellan Skarsgård playing both sides along with Mon Mothma. I think this is gonna be the best Star Wars show.
The espionage aspect of Mon Mothma. I gotta put this out there. I have such a huge crush on that actress right now. My God. But she's like, if they don't think I'm a threat, maybe they won't see what I'm really doing.
Right.
And I didn't know Saw Gerrera was in this.
We didn't. This was we suspected that like probably.
Yeah.
But like getting him and Stellan Skarsgård talking to each other, I was like, oh my God.
And
oh my God.
I love seeing like Proto Saw before he becomes like Darth Vader Saw. Jeez. I was so hyped after this trailer. Like I was like, oh my God, this. If you had told me that a prequel to a good movie with quite honestly thin characters looks like the best Star Wars TV show, I would have called you insane.
It's the thing for me that what's so exciting about the show is while they are grounded to a specific time period, they're not grounded by any characters, so they can do whatever they want. That's why I'm so excited. They could tell any story they want with all of these made up characters. They don't have to worry about Obi-Wan or Darth Vader having anything to be predestined. They can just tell a story about how the rebellion got formed in any way they want, and it looks as gritty and like dark as Rogue One, which is great.
I was honestly nervous about Andor because it was taking so long for us to get any more about it after they announced it as like one of the first shows they announced.
Yeah.
It was that and Mandalorian. And it's taken so long to get here, but honestly, if this is the product we're getting, I'm so pleased. I do not think I am being hyperbolic when I say this is the most excited I've been about a Star Wars project based on a trailer since The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly. I don't think a Star Wars trailer since then has gotten me this excited for a Star Wars
I
project.
certainly was hyped for the Last Jedi trailer.
I think this is the same reason. I was hyped for the Last Jedi trailer, but I think Force Awakens, like, that was higher. The anticipation of the product, and I think it's for exactly what you brought up, Ryan. I feel unbound. I feel like all possibilities are here. There's all these shots of the Imperials in their white coats and talking about their strategies, and I'm like, we're getting the Star Wars like politics show. We're getting it. It's happening.
We're seeing Andor. Like he's like, whether it is early on and he's joining the Empire just to join it, or he is subverting and he's like being a spy from the beginning. I think that's what's excellent. Like, again, this is the thing we've always wanted. We've always wanted the political Star Wars show. And the thing I was always worried about is, and again, this is going to sound disrespectful, but like, I don't want the politics of Star Wars. I don't want that show to be like Mandalorian or Boba Fett. I need it to be a little seedier, a little darker, more like Rogue One, which is like bad shit. Bad people exist, right? The shit can get real. And this is giving me that, like, it feels like gritty. And I don't want to use the word real, but like, it's like just actors doing their shit, and we're like in the open and like in like minimal CGI. I'm like, man.
You know what's interesting about it also is that. And people brought this up with Obi-Wan, and I don't think this is mean to say, but Obi-Wan has very little in the way of aliens, right? Obi-Wan looks cheap. We talked about it, another thing. Obi-Wan looks like a cheap show. It should not have been the cheap show, but it looks like it was cheap. This does not. This looks like there is a lot of money that was put into it, because in every scene there is a different alien. Every scene of this trailer there is a different alien, and they are able to do what Rogue One did very well with the special effects. If you recall, like the Scarif scene, like it's very much taking the visual language of Rogue One and adapting it for a television show in a way that doesn't make this look like it's cheap. It looks like it is on the same scale of what we come to recognize with Star Wars.
We see these guys again, and I love them. They are so weird and spooky. I love those guys.
What a great cast. Honestly, the moment that one of those guys showed up, I was like, Saw Gerrera's here, right? And then we get to Saw Gerrera. I'm like, oh my god, we're doing it. I think like, I don't want to get too ahead of it or anything, but I feel like we're gonna do some time jumping around Andor's life and everything. I'm so hyped because, like, I know the goal of the show, like, once we get to the end of season 2, is to kind of get us to the beginning of Rogue One, essentially, like, more or less, so we see how we get to that clear path. And I really hope that we get to indulge in the time, because, like, the rebellion had to start a while before Rogue One. And I feel like we're really going to get the juiciness of that. I can't tell you how hyped, like, the shot of the Senate from above with the seat moving in and, like, going to Coruscant and seeing them, like, going down to the seedy levels and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I'm really happy about the practicality, but I'm really happy we're going to get some stuff on Coruscant.
I'm really excited for the Coruscant stuff. You have no idea how excited I am. I saw the Senate. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, now that we've gotten that Ian McDiarmid will come back, we're definitely gonna get, like, it's Emperor Palpatine and I'm here for the Senate. What's up, y'all? I'm a good guy. Scott, that's again. Like, and this is the cameo I want.
There's so much in this that, like, just super excited me. Darn it.
You got it.
The rebellion, like, you know, you're right, Sparks, like the rebellion had to start earlier than Rogue One. But what Rogue One does that a lot of people often miss, I'm not saying we did, but, like, it's the first time that the different rebellion factions teamed up to fight the Empire. That's what Rogue One is. Rogue One is the first time that all the different rebellions came together as one to declare open warfare against the Empire.
The Rebel Alliance.
Right. And so, like, that's what Rogue One is. And what we're going to see is, because we see in Rebels, you know, Rebels is the other side of Andor, right? Rebels is we see the rebellion building in Rebels. Now we see Andor, the seedier side of the rebellion, how the seedy side of the rebellion started.
The human side.
Yeah, and we're going to see those desperate, because there's a line of, like, there are pockets forming. There are pockets of resistance forming.
God, oh my god, do you think there will be, like, some Rebels nod eventually in Andor to, like, where they were? Because, like, you're already going to have Hera cast.
Yes.
My guy?
Absolutely.
I think we see Thrawn.
Oh, God. I 100%. I don't know how much Rebels stuff there will be, but I 100% guarantee Rebel stuff it will be in the show.
I do too.
That shot of Stellan Skarsgård walking into like the Coruscant room where he's in the like purple and gold robes with the long hair. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited
And like,
for this.
what's so cool? What's so cool is like to see. Okay, I'm not gonna be sad if we don't see Thrawn. I want to put that out there. I do think it's possible that we can see Thrawn. But like you can have a little bit of crossover. And what's really cool about this show is that they did say there's two seasons, and the second season is going to jump around a lot, keep jumping forward in time. And that's not necessarily the case of the first season, but there is a time jump in the first season. There's a lot more of this season that's already of the second season. The second season is already halfway done filming, right? Like that they are putting episodes in the bank. They're like, we got something here, and we're putting them in there, and we're getting these ready.
The reality is, like, honestly, if the cast had no more people than what I saw in this trailer, I'm still hype as hell.
Yeah,
I don't care. Like, this is the Rogue One prologue I wanted,
and we're gonna get.
I'm so happy. I'm so
second
happy
season.
with this.
Second season's got to have K2SO.
One of the Imperials. I don't know his name, but he's Tiber from Game of Thrones.
Oh,
he's the necromancer. So I'm like, he's a good bad guy.
He
So lining their pockets, they're rich and fat.
This
I
is
can't
gonna
wait.
be so good, and I bet it's gonna bridge really well. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some bridges that we're gonna see from Bad Batch season 2 to here.
And
with the Imperial stuff,
the 12 episode format. I wonder if this was Disney going, okay, we did the 6. Might not have worked. 12 really worked, so like that's how they got Daredevil 18. It's like we now see a trajectory of trying to do the longer form storytelling because Andor really worked. I'm so excited. It's 12 episodes. 24 total episodes. Like that's a lot of grit. This is 24 gritty episodes. Ooh, that's all I wanted.
It's good.
Truly so happy that this is in the immediate Star Wars future.
Me too.
Ben, you've said almost nothing. What's up?
You guys kept on going, so yeah, I'm excited for Andor. It looks great. I love how I didn't think we were gonna get see Saul Guerrero. We are. I agree with Ryan. This looks like a Star Wars television show. This looks like a great Star Wars television show, and not an elongated film. So I'm ready for it. I want to see.
This looks like Mandalorian season 1.
Yeah.
Like because Mandalorian season 1 is not necessarily a serialized story. It's very episodic, with an overarching background plot, and this feels very much in the same vein.
This looks like what people wanted, which is Game of Thrones and Star Wars, and it looks of that level.
Yeah. And what is not often the case, but like. It's always cool, like when you watch these trailers. Like I bet a lot of this footage is also from the early episodes, which is always fun because like I wonder how much we're not seeing, which is for 12 episodes is a lot of real estate, man. It's crazy.
I'm so ready.
September, right? Next month.
September 21st.
Hell yeah!
You heard it from Big Bentley himself. Super excited for this one.
Bringing it back. All right, shall we do our main topic?
Yeah.
Oh, Amen.
All right, full spoilers for the latest Predator film, Prey. Yes. Dan Trachtenberg's second feature film after 10 Cloverfield Lane. Too little, if you ask me.
Big TV director, though.
He's directed like one episode of 3 shows.
That's big in my book.
Because I looked up his IMDb, I was like, surely he's done more, but no.
Takes his time.
He did direct one episode of The Boys 2 seasons ago, I think. Anyway. Prey. What do we think about Prey?
Real quick, before you answer, I want to know one thing from everyone. What language track did you watch?
You know which one I picked, Sparks. You know the real deal.
I do know which one you picked. Ben?
English.
Okay, Brandon?
English.
Okay, cool. Ryan and I watched Comanche. So I just wanted that in our brains going forward for the discussion. Go ahead.
What do we think about it?
I think it's incredible. I had a great time.
Right.
I think this is easily the best Predator movie.
Ben?
I really enjoyed it. I just wish I wasn't jet lagged when I was watching it.
Yeah. It's okay.
Stop it.
Oh, I
I
can't
saw
do
your
that.
Letterboxd.
Did you really?
Yeah, I've seen your Letterboxd. I know what you
Yeah.
thought.
No, it's my favorite Predator movie. It surpasses Predators. This is the movie I needed it to be.
Because you guys watched it in English, I have a question for you. Did they translate the French for
No.
you? Okay,
No.
so they just left
No.
that. Great. They don't translate it for us either.
That's
so
all.
what happens,
I figured they wouldn't.
So what happens is in the Comanche dub, you obviously are hearing the Comanche voice actors, and then the French, because like you're getting the translation subtitles for the Comanche, you just get the French. Like you're just seeing French on the bottom of the screen when the French are talking, which I'm like, it made me really happy. There is no right or wrong way to watch this movie. It made me really happy to have chosen the Comanche because it made me feel completely in the element of it. I was only hearing languages I didn't understand, which made me feel completely in the period piece of it.
So what's interesting about that is I felt much the same way. Because I'm always of the like the way my head works is if I'm watching a film set in a different time period with a different language and they're speaking English, my brain just says, "Oh, I'm just hearing the translation."
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got like a universal translator in my head, and I'm just hearing it. So like what I really so for me, I had very much the same experience because when he's speaking French, I can understand Naru, but I can't understand the Frenchman. And that's what you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel alienated by this people because this is a language that you can't understand.
I'm really glad of that, which is why I asked specifically if you guys had it if it was translated for you, because that was going to bum me out if it was. But I'm glad that you're just not supposed to, unless you understand French, you're not supposed to understand them.
I took 2 years of French in high school, and I had no clue what they were saying.
Yeah,
there is a single line of English in the movie, and a Frenchman says, "You son of a bitch," and I thought that was there are multiple. This is maybe one of the best ways of them incorporating like catchphrases and stuff from the other movies. They feel so natural; they never feel out of place. Like I'm not going, "Oh, it's the thing." I'm like, "Oh, damn, that was pretty."
There's only one kind of Leo DiCaprio point at the TV moment that I had. And for the most part, I never caught any of the reference dialogue except for "If it bleeds, we can kill it."
Come on, do it now. At the end is straight.
It feels so natural the way that they did the "if it's bleeding," because they don't even say the exact same words, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
But so, like that's what I'm talking about. Like I know that they had the reference dialogue, a lot of it. But the fact that it felt so natural, and it didn't feel like they were pointing a finger at, look, this is the reference dialogue.
Yes,
I never caught it until after it happened.
It made complete sense for that to be their logic. That like this is something we've never seen before, but it's bleeding. That means we can kill it, and like that felt completely. Oh, God, it played so well. I truly encourage, if you are going to watch Prey again, give the Comanche dub a go.
It's awesome.
I think it's wonderful that they made it. I wish the film had frankly just been made that way.
Yeah.
But the fact that they made the dub track, we talked about it before, but I'll talk about it here just in case nobody heard us talk about when they announced that they were releasing the Comanche dub. Very few films ever get Native American dub tracks. It's a handful, and the fact that this one got one and that the actors all got to come and do it themselves is really rare and very special. I'm really glad they did it, and props to them for doing it. I think the actors do a great job of bringing their emotions to the table in the Comanche dub as well.
Oh yeah.
Really excited about it. That's all I really want to highlight about that specifically. I highly encourage, if you have the opportunity to check it out that way, to do so.
This movie is so, first of all, it's really smart, and it's so expertly crafted because it's tight and knows exactly what it is. I think this might have like the strongest opening of a movie in a while, simply because it gives you everything you need to know about your character within 5 minutes. You see how good she is at combat. She's training. You see that she's an animal lover. She's a great person. You see she's a family woman. You also see that she's an incredible tracker. So they give us all of this information within like 5-10 minutes, and then the rest of the movie is you're with the character. And it was so smart. It is so
That's where the film feels like an older film, right? Because that's also the 80s film. That's also Predator.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of films. We know everything we need to know about Indiana Jones in the first 5 minutes of that movie. We know everything we need to know about Dutch in the first 5 minutes of that movie. And that's how those movies were built. Nowadays we have much longer journeys with characters. And like, that has its place. But like it felt like a film. It felt like a Predator movie, right? It didn't feel like it felt at times a movie that a Predator was dropped into, and a Predator movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's
very much in a similar way to his last movie, where like it kind of stands alone before it becomes the genre thing. And that's what's important about these types of movies, is like it's a genre mashup, but like the movie's got to be good first before the genre comes in. Otherwise, I'm not going to care that you're killing these people.
I think that's why the Predator fails. In some ways, the Predator fails because it starts as a Predator movie. It is a movie about the Predator coming to Earth. We open up with an action scene of 2 Predator ships firing on each other.
Yeah,
right.
And then from then on, we don't get that at any other Predator movie, including Predators, because for most of Predators, you're still trying to figure out what the hell's going on, where these characters are.
Yeah.
I think they do. Go ahead if you add more to that thought.
Oh, I want to talk about the writer real quickly, but if you have something else,
sure. No. Go ahead.
Okay, so the writer is called Patrick Asen, and I thought this guy was really interesting. And I love Amber Midthunder in this movie, but I always felt like she was an interesting choice because the only thing I recognize her from is from Legion, which I really like her in. This writer was a consultant on Legion, where I assume they met.
Makes sense.
Since then, this guy was not a film writer. He has only been a producer on Treadstone, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, and Kingdom, where he wrote 1 episode of each show.
Amazon man.
And then he wrote Predator. That's his first feature. And I think this is a hell of a debut feature.
Absolutely.
Prey.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I think this is a hell of a debut feature.
It feels like he I always wanted to write something, and he gave it a shot and it worked. It worked.
Yeah. I really love how compact this movie is. It doesn't drag. Not once does it drag. There's always something going on. I love how Naru, like, I love how she embraces her inner scorpion with the axe and the leash or the tug.
Wicked.
I love that weapon so much.
I love it too. But also I just love how the Predator we only get back shots of the Predator in the beginning of the film. We only see him within the cloak. We only see the Predator. We don't see like the Predator's face or even with the mask on until, I don't know, like halfway through the movie, give or take.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, and then we don't see the actual face of the Predator until close to the end of the third act. And I just love how I don't really see this as a horror movie, but I do see this as a thriller. Because you're constantly wondering, like, who's the Predator going to get? How are they going to fight back against the Predator? How is this going to go?
Importantly, Ben, we talked about this before when we talked about like how AVP succeeds where Predator versus Jason doesn't. The Predator works in an action horror setting always. Every single one of their successful films are action horror films, and this is no different. This has horror elements. In fact, in some places, it's pretty scary in the beginning. I thought so anyway, because there's a giant snake.
See, I just want to piggyback off that because I kind of agree with Ben. I think like this film succeeded by not chasing the horror elements. Thriller. Ben is correct. I think that this is much more action thriller. It makes it feels much more grounded into like while the Predator is mysterious, while the Predator is advanced in a way, it never feels like completely supernatural beyond, because it's always incrementally upping its game of hunting them. It's very well done in the sense of like, what does it, the snake goes to strike, it does a speed strike to take out the snake, it wrestles with its prey that it's chasing, it only goes to projectile after arrows have been brought out by the
matches
by the Comanches. It only matches up to what its prey is doing. And I think that makes it feel much more like primal in a sense, and it makes it feel much more in that thriller vein rather than like the completely outmatched level that the original The Predator necessarily has with its horror elements of how it's stalking and its power set.
You brought up an interesting point I wanted to kind of like circle around, which is the Predator attacking different species. it's such an interesting shorthand because we know from ancillary material, the Intractable is like, oh, what if this was the first time the Predators came to Earth? You know, but the film shows you that is potentially what's happening here because
Yes.
it's not immediately going after people; it's finding the stronger predators on the planet each time.
I love, but the introduction scene is brilliant because it's the circle of life, baby. It starts with an ant.
Yeah.
And then it goes to a little mouse. Then it goes to a snake. And then he's like, all right, snake's clearly the biggest thing around here. I'm gonna kill the snake. And then he sees there's a wolf. And then he sees there's a bear. And then he sees there's a human. And then he sees there's a lot of humans. And what I love about this movie is like, I thought this movie was going to be way less Predator centric. I honestly thought like in lower budget movie, the Predator would be in like a third of the movie. The Predator is in this movie a lot. Way more action than I expected. I have never been more happy to see a bunch of white people show up because I knew they were going to die. Because I was like, low body count for this movie, but I'm not mad about it. Then the French showed up. I'm like, oh, they're all getting massacred.
The Predator gets. God, I want to say two things real quick to what you just said. That scene taking out all the Frenchmen. I'm like, this is the No Man's Land Wonder Woman scene.
I thought it too.
Incredible. Yeah, so good. Okay, but I want to say, I think this film has the best utilization of the invisibility tech for the Predator. I think it uses it the best as for hiding it and for visual storytelling.
And it's not as advanced.
The scene you just talked about with the ant, as Ben alluded to, the eventual reveal scene of its face, not its full, but like with the helmet on. And it's still mostly like that is like the closest.
Well, the
I think
blood,
to like
the blood pouring down from the bear.
That's really good too. Yes, but the first time they really see the Predator, the Comanches really see the Predator, and that it's still mostly invisible. It's just like its top parts are coming through and it roars at them. So good. That is like, well, it doesn't like scare me. It's like it is horrifying for them. What they are seeing happen before them, I think, is so cool. That bear scene, you're also right, is great use of the invisibility. The way it drenches down, I think, is so good.
I wanted to bring up, because we keep talking about the invisibility a bit, but I love that the Predator's invisibility has always just kind of been shit. Like, it's just always, it's just never been good. In the past, it was worse, but it's never quite good. And there's like stuff in like the Predator 2 that I really like, where it's like Donald Glover, like, because you can see the Predator if you're like looking right at it and it's moving. You can see the Predator, even in the future. And like Donald Glover has this thing where he sees the corner of his eye, he like points the gun at the Predator, and the Predator's just kind of like, did you see me?
Who, me?
And so like I always just kind of appreciate that it's this long running issue in the films that the Predator's cloaking is just terrible.
I love the I was gonna say evolution, but it's de-evolution of the tech, because he has all the same tech. It's just, again, it's not as good as it was kind of already shitty, and it just kind of got even shittier.
I was so surprised and pleased when the three dot laser is barbs instead of a cannon. I thought that was such a good like de-escalation of the technology, but like still like lethal to the
tracking shot, and then it's a loop around to the ending, which like I didn't even see it coming. When
you had the three lasers and like one drifts down,
I was like, wait, what?
And it's really cool, because if you're like in Predator lore, and like if you're like me, who's just like, yum, give me the Yautja. Give me the Yautja lore. It kind of like creates an origin for why it's 3 lines.
Yes,
it's because it could aim in different spots,
right?
And that's I think really that's a really logical way to de-escalate that weapon.
I love how the Predator's main, like the lethal, because I was thinking like they're not going to introduce like laser cannons, right? Because like in AVP where you get the shoulder cannon.
Yeah,
I'm glad that it's still like, this is 300 years before, or 300 years before the first Predator film.
Sure.
And we get to see this Predator use a projectile weapon, but it's still a scientific projectile weapon, but it still fits 300 years.
The gravity crossbow, basically.
Essentially. And
and it works because it's like, it works because if you're sending something back 300 years, and this is a creature that we know updates its technology to become a much better hunter every single time, and so like it makes sense that 300 years ago it wouldn't have had the same technology. It has some of the staples, like it can still see infrared and still cloak, but most of the time it that technology would have been progressive over time.
Yeah.
And so you can't bring it back down to where it has no projectile weapons, because then that jump is too far.
Yeah.
So it has to have a lesser projectile weapon.
I love that, like, he's not wearing much armor, and then he gets he's tough, but he gets messed up in this movie by a lot of different things.
I
he
really
gets
like the
bitten,
shield, though.
scratched, attacked, shot, so many different things. And like, this is like the most like emotional a Predator has ever been in a movie. Like, I feel like there's one point specifically where he's just so full of these people's shit, he kills someone and he just like screams at them, and I'm like, I've never seen that in a Predator movie, I don't think. Where like he like yells at someone he just killed because he's so mad about it. And I'm like, this is awesome.
There's some excellent action sequences. We talked about like the nomad sequence. Every single one of those kills is brilliant. There's a bit with the bear trap where I was like, what's he got on his arm? And he throws the bear trap over, on the tree to like spin it, grabs it, and throws it at the guy to cut his head. I was like, oh damn.
I thought the bear traps were, I thought at first it was weird because there was the bear traps. And I'm like, I don't know if the Predators would make just human looking bear traps, but I accepted it for how it was. Then the French came in. I'm like, oh, this movie just got better. I can't. How does it keep doing it?
Yes. I thought they did a good job with the tee up of the bear trap early on too. And when she gets caught in it, the Predator comes up to it and he's like, "This isn't how I want to catch you. This is bullshit."
Yeah,
so good.
The tall grass just massacring her friend. Just the blood just spattering.
Oh
everywhere.
yeah, the mist.
Oh boy.
I want to praise the sound design. I think the sound design for Predator is super good because they didn't just use the old sounds. They made new versions of the sound. So it's still the iconic clicking, but it's different. It's not the same. It's a different sound. The roar is different. It's like
sound. Yahucha's like meaner cousin showed up or something.
Yeah. They gave it its own personality and its own sound design rather than just rehashing the sound effects. I thought that was a really cool move.
This is also such a drastically different look for the Predator, while still also being a design influence of it, because the mandibles no longer go over the mouth; they're on its side always.
Yeah.
And the mouth is much wider than we've seen before. And it's so interesting to see. Like, I like the design a lot. I just want to say that, but it is interesting how drastically different the design to what we know as the Jungle Hunter 300 years from now is.
We've seen them doing this more and more with whether it's the comics, the games, or even Predators, where they're trying to expand on like the Predator can look different. It's not all like, just as people look different, like the Predator can look, there are variations to how they look. They are not all
uniform.
Just like uniforms of what they were in the first one. And this is just another notch in that way. And I think it's a really good one. I think that there's a lot of great design stuff here.
The bulletproof
helmet was such a surprise because like that dude was just charging him. And I'm like, how's this going to end? Oh, it ends with it being a ricochet bullet. That's how. Yeah.
that like thing that he like that snapper,
a wristband,
the snap bracelet that he's got that he can like take off and like cut off people's legs.
I love his big staff that just splits in half.
Oh, and he's always like he's like spinning it and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, baby. The old school bomb that's like 3 mines that come up. I love that.
I think maybe some of the best shots we've seen of the Predator hopping tree to tree, honestly.
Yeah. Looks good. So many, and like this movie, I can't believe now that I've seen it, this movie wasn't in theaters. There's so many beautiful vista shots, like like wide open shots. Like half the time it felt like Lord of the Rings, which her just walking with her dog. I'm like, man.
I told Michael like pretty early on in the film, like where it's doing the like low buzz sound, and we're focusing on Nora while her brother is being praised for killing the lion.
Yeah.
And I told Michael, I'm like, they're chasing that A24 vibe, like with what they can do here. They're chasing it hard. And I think for the most part, it's to their success.
Yeah. What I think is good about this is we've talked about a lot how we want to see like this kind of period piece Predator film. This is kind of the Predator film we've been hungering for a while. And what I think worked really well about this film is the same thing that worked really well about the first and honestly the second film. It is a different movie. You're watching an A24 movie about a Comanche woman trying to prove herself and her tribe, and then a Predator shows up.
Yep.
Right.
And like that's what works about this movie so well is because I know that the original plan was not to tell us that the Predator was in this movie. And I lament that we never got that. I don't think this film would have been nearly as successful right away.
Same.
But I do lament the fact that, like, imagine if you were watching an A24 Comanche movie, a movie about a Comanche woman, and then a predator showed up.
It's so sad that we will never. I don't think we could ever get a From Dusk Till Dawn moment where people go in watching a gangster movie and it's a vampire movie. I don't think we are ever going to get that ever again, unfortunately.
Right. I agree. But it's a dream. Like one of my buddies, it famously watched Predator, the original, on TV and did not see the first 5 minutes of the movie and therefore thought it was a Arnold in the Jungle War movie and was like, oh, I've never heard of this one. And then all of a sudden there's a Predator. And what a wild experience that must have been.
Yeah.
But truthfully, I think like this film does a really good job of easing you into, like, I really love, we talked about the opening, but I really love the opening to the title, which is where she's on the mountain. She looks up in the sky and you see the fire above the clouds of the ship, but you don't see the ship, which I thought was such a good shot. And it's just like prey. And I'm like, oh, that is so good, because she's just interpreting that as like something else.
A bad omen.
Thunderbird.
Like that's incredible. That's such an incredible, like, ease into it. And then we do get the shot, but I also think it's really good of, like, we see the ship and the ship flies away and then the predator comes up from its crouch, but we're mostly getting it putting on its invisibility, so we still don't get a good look at it. And I thought that was just so good.
Something we don't get enough anymore is what's it called? Sand pits. What's it called when you fall into a pit and you can't get out? Quicksand. We got a quick swamp scene in here, that's probably the scariest scene in the movie. I know she's gonna survive, but like when the predator gets in there and then he just stands up like it's nothing.
Well, yes, legitimately, I had a Never-Ending Story flashbacks from that.
The swamp.
That's exactly looks like the swamp where we lost the horse.
I was nervous we'd lost the dog, because the dog had been missing right before that moment, and like you could think that the dog had gotten swallowed up quickly.
That dog did work. He helped and then circle back like such a smart hunting dog.
I'm so glad that dog was not CGI.
Same.
Pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
So good. It looks so good. My only like real knock on the film is I just wish they had been given a bigger budget, so the CGI of like the bear and stuff looked a little better.
Yeah.
But I don't fault them for that. Like I still think it's totally watchable. Like I still have a great time.
It's
doing it.
The predator versus the bear is some of the coolest fights. And like we don't even see half of that fight because the predator is invisible. But like you hear the bam,
and he gets Leo DiCaprio. That bear eats him up first too.
Right, and the beginning of it that Naru sees, I'm like, oh, it's just like some weird and half invisible fire elemental is fighting the bear, and then just bleeding all over. God,
metal,
it looks so
metal.
Good.
The final fight between the predator and her brother. Her brother goes out like a champ, killing it. Love it.
when he hears it, he's like, Naru, you need to leave.
I know this is
you gotta run.
End. Yeah.
I already know.
Yeah,
this is the end for me. Yeah,
that was such a good death scene.
And her turnaround on the predator is also really good.
Come on, do it now.
I love the going back to technology again, but like I've always really liked the predator net that gets tighter, and
yes,
this one is so baller. It's just it keeps going until it goes back into the thing, just like destroys that log
because it's able to capture all around that tree and it can crush it. It's so good. Yeah, and that he does it after they put a net on him. He's like, you want to see a net? God, it's so good. It has maybe one of the most visceral, just hard to versions of the predator taking a head and a spine, which is the wolf.
That was so good.
The way that lay down shot is, and then like when you see it and then it takes it all out, I'm like, oh my God.
That's when this movie I was like, oh, this movie's the real deal. All right.
I really love the so I want to talk a little bit about Naru. One of the things that, again, this movie does really well is what the first movie does really well. Because I don't mean to bring up Twitter discourse. I apologize a little bit, but it is relevant to what I'm trying to say. People have forgotten that Schwarzenegger didn't beat the Predator by being technologically superior and stronger. He beat it by being smarter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you beat the Predator. Everyone except for Donald Glover has outsmarted Danny Glover has outsmarted the Predator.
Right.
And so, like, what this movie does really well is because at the beginning we know everything we need to know about Naru. We know that she's a smart. She hunts smart. We see that with the lion, right? We see that with the lion. It's like, okay, if we keep hunting, if we keep going around that lion, we may never find the lion. But if we wait here,
and the brother tells her that later too, which I think is a great moment where he's like, I only beat the lion because of you, because of the tree.
And so, like, we know that she's smarter. She's not a capable physical hunter, but she's a smart hunter. And so so we know that this character is already smart enough. And so when we get to the point where she outsmarts the Predator, that's how you beat the Predator. That it's so true to the franchise. It's so true to all the characters that have come before. You beat the Predator not by being physically superior, but by being mentally superior.
And they do so much setup because like somebody like gets hurt or somebody gets like attacked, and then she has this herb that helps cool them off and
cool the blood,
cool the blood and like thins the blood to make it cooler. And that's how they. So when she fell into the swamp pit, I thought that's how she figured out the Predator couldn't see her because she's covered in mud. Yeah. But it's not that. I thought that's just like a fun little thing. It's like this flower that she always uses to help people out, which ends up being the savior of the thing, and how the Predator can't see her.
When the Predator walks up to the guy and she just steps to the side is so good.
Yeah.
I just really like that everything we get, because again, going back to how smart she is, she can't hunt a rabbit. She's having a hard time hunting the rabbit because she throws the axe. Oh, miss, got to run up to the axe. The rabbit's already 3 yards away. But she's smart, so she thinks of the rope axe and like that. She's such a brilliant antagonist who is wonderfully written throughout. Protagonist, sorry, who is wonderfully written throughout. That she's endearing. She's exactly the kind of, I knew this watching the trailer. She's exactly the kind of person that goes up against the Predator and wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, she has a line that I want to bring up though.
Yeah.
Oh, I never take notes, but I took one line. Not every smart creature can learn. And that's the Predator in his entire life. He keeps getting beat by humans. Love it.
The line that I really liked is in the line where she's talking to the Frenchman, and the Frenchman can't understand her. And she has the thing where she's like, everyone thinks I can't hunt, and everyone blah blah blah. But she has this line, it's like, you can't see that I'm killing you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it won't either. Uh-huh. And as the Predator walks up, and I just think that is so good.
That's a good line.
Yeah, God, it's just such a well executed film for exactly the premise that it was doing. I'm so glad it was Amber Midthunder. I think she's so great in it. Yeah. I'm so glad that it's not. The Comanche dub also works for me a lot, just because like it would have worked for me anyway. But like, I was the reason I wish the film had just been filmed in Comanche is because the film is about so much environment storytelling more than dialogue that I'm like, most audiences probably would have just gone for this if you just committed to that. But I'm glad they at least did the dub track. I think that they did the smart thing of just relying on the environmental storytelling. To be fair, I think the original Predator does that as well. At a certain point, like it just becomes about environmental storytelling more than it is about dialogue.
Yeah. Look, I do think this is the best Predator movie because I look at the first Predator, which I think is awesome. And this movie does everything that movie does, but better and more modern and progressive. So I'm just like, I like, this is like by de facto, like when I think of Predator, I'm going to think of Prey, man. Like when you think of the Predator as a concept, this is executed as perfect as you could possibly be. And it takes place, it takes place like in the 1700s. It's like a secret genre movie. Like, I know it's not going to happen, but like I would be totally happy with every year and a half, 2 years, Samurai Predator movie, Viking Predator movie, Knights Predator movie. Like it's so genius. It's like Assassin's Creed. Like you could do this 100 times and it would never get stale.
Right.
But I know
as long as you dedicate to the time period and the characters.
Yeah, just make the story good. Just drop Predator in.
And exactly, that's the thing that. If you want to make a franchise of just Prey movies, like you want to just like Prey 2, Prey 3, Prey whatever, Prey Samurai era,
Prey Camelot.
But if you want to just do that, I think these films need to be defined by the fact, if you're going to make more of these, they need to be defined by the fact that they are each a different movie that a Predator is dropped into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, I think the benefit of doing it more is, you can get to ones where like they weren't good enough to outsmart the Predator.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, they just didn't, you know, like, frankly, that should be the Knights. Like, you just have people who just aren't equipped and can't do it. And, like, it's a good story, but, like, tragically they lose. And we can have that story where the Predator sometimes wins.
Absolutely.
And you can have the times where,
Because
like, it ends in a draw, which is probably the samurai story. Like, you know, like,
They probably should have.
these kinds of things.
There probably should be stories where the Predators win, because otherwise they keep coming back.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, like, we've seen the Predator, like, what is the Predator's concept of win? Because, like, you can have the self-destruct like the original Predator, which I was glad wasn't here. I did like the little, like, the bomb thing that it sets off with the wrists.
I love the fatter Frenchman just like doo doo. He just backs away.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. I think that, you know, you can have those different kinds of scenarios where, like, oh, the Predator could win this one. They could end in a draw this one. It can end with them winning over the Predator. I mean, like, to your point, Brandon, the Predator keeps coming back because even if they lose, that's all the more reason to go back.
The challenge,
you know, it's the challenge. It's to prove that they can overcome it.
This is also kind of like where I'm sitting. Like, this is where Prey honestly makes me more mad that the Predator exists, because the Predator fundamentally tries to create this idea that the reason why the Predators keep coming back to Earth is because they're taking the spinal fluid, and I don't think that's a good story beat.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's a good reason why they keep hunting. And so, like, going back to, like, basics of, like, Prey goes back to, like, they're just here to hunt. Predator, they're just here to hunt.
Yeah.
Predator 2, just here to hunt. Like, I really like that idea. And if you, I would kill for a movie set on the Oucha homeworld. I would kill for Alien vs. Predator 3. I would kill for any film franchise, for any film that wants to expand the Predator lore. But the problem is, the one movie we got that did that was The Predator. So I'm far more willing to have these types of movies than that type of movie.
So despite this being on Hulu, the word of mouth and the critical reception is massive. Massive. People love this movie. Like, we probably have to wait until after the weekend to see if there's any numbers for it. But, like, this movie is a hit, like, by all accounts. So, like,
do you know? Yeah. I really hope so. Like, I hope they see the success of this and this is the direction they want to continue the Predator franchise in, because it makes sense. You should. If you're going to do anything with the Predator franchise, you should do more of this. And frankly, the path right here that is clear to me because of what Brandon just said about wanting to, like, get more expansion on the Predator lore, what you do is a bunch of Prey films that are period piece Prey films, right? And then at some point, right, if they're all close, if you get a few that are close enough in the time period, you take a couple of your best ones that beat the Predator, they get abducted. You do Predators too, baby.
Yeah.
You do it on another alien planet. They took some of the best hunters who beat their Predators, they abducted them, and they put them on another planet.
Oh my god. Big head brain here. Like, Nauru is, like, let's just say it's 1700, right? You have a Japan story that's like 1695. You have like an England story that's in around the same time. It's like 1705. Everyone's a little older.
Yeah.
It's too good. It's too good.
Yes. Because like the idea of, like, some of the ancillary material of Predators was suggesting the idea that the Jungle Hunter and the City Hunter were renegades. They were not supposed to hunt on Earth. You're supposed to take them off of Earth and put them on this game planet. And that's why the Alpha Predators are punishing one of the Jungle Hunters in Predators.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's, like, never stated in the film. So you can have it. You can create it, like, the reason why that game planet exists is because they took all the ones that beat the Predators and put them on that planet and hunted them again.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's juicy, Sparks.
Yeah. Again, even though it is a streaming movie, like, I feel so positive about the future of the Predator movies.
Yeah.
Even if it's not Dan Trachtenberg, like, if they go with this model, they could have, like, a 5-film franchise easy. And, like,
Trachtenberg can direct whatever the hell he wants. I'll be there. He's directed two of the best. He's directed the best films in 2 franchises, quite frankly. 10 Cloverfield Lane and Prey.
True.
True.
Like,
and honestly, Predator feels malleable enough that you have all the opportunity in the world to just yes and at any time.
Every time.
Oh, if you watch the credits, there is a sequel tease.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 things at the end that I want to talk about, but I do want to bring up the lion jump scare is quite good when the guy is talking about the lion and then the lion takes him.
I didn't expect the lion, for real. Yeah.
That's very good. I thought it was the Predator.
Yeah.
I was very, like, it was funny because I was watching it with Michael, and Michael, when the lion shows up, Michael's like, oh, it's a female lion. And I'm like, well, it's a mountain lion because we're in the Americas. And it took me a moment to be like, why are they saying lion? Oh, we have mountain lions. That's why.
I think that the way the film is shot is really pretty. One of the things that I've noticed that's really cool is when the torches are lit at night scenes, the light is only coming from the torches,
Yeah.
but when they're not lit, the sky lights the ground.
Natural lighting.
And I think that's really clever because it almost makes it feel like the torches are hindering their eyesight than just without the torches.
Yeah.
I just thought that was cool.
Right.
Real quick, I know we talked about the invisibility, but like I really love that like water messes with it. Any liquid, and it's like, oopsie, you can see it all right there. And I'm just like, man, it's always been shit, no matter what.
I love the idea that the way Naru beats it is because she noticed that the projectiles would go wherever the light is
The
hitting.
Yondu.
And I think that's a really cool idea of like, again, it goes back to what Schwarzenegger learned. Like Schwarzenegger got good at fighting this thing because it studied it. It was like, oh, it sees infrared. Oh, it sees blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Very much in the same vein of like, oh, this is a weakness that I can exploit.
Right.
I just got to get that thing off of his head.
Yes.
There's a Predator 2 reference in this.
Yes, there is.
The gun.
Yeah.
I was so damn excited when the guy turned over the gun. 1715. I was like, oh, Predator 2 reference.
Oh,
Heavens.
1715. Yeah, that gives us exactly when it takes place. Okay, cool.
Well, in the beginning it says 1719.
Okay, there you go.
It's like Great Plains, America, 1719 or whatever.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But like the gun in Predator 2, the elder Predator of the ship just tosses Danny Glover a gun, and it says 1715. And the idea of Predator 2 is supposed to be like they've been doing this for hundreds of years. And so when I noticed the time period, I was wondering like, oh, would they reference that? And so I was very shocked that they ended up doing it.
Man, imagine that is, even if that, like, if we're making a sequel and it's about that guy, I wouldn't be mad.
And so like when the Frenchman handed Naru the flintlock, I was like, oh, could this be the same flintlock? Or we'll probably never get a yes or no. And we got a definitive answer that is the same flintlock. And then I was kind of like, oh, I wonder how the Predator got that flintlock then. And then the credits. Ben, did you watch the whole credits?
No, I did not. Once the credits were over, I went to bed. I was tired.
Fun. So the credits are great. I love the credits. I think the credit design is really great. How it's going through the film again.
Yeah, retelling the story. Yeah.
And this Native American paintings. And after it does the title, Prey, it goes back to the painting, and then the Predator ship arrives.
Like 3 Predator ships come.
3 Predator ships arrive.
Yeah.
Hinting at the fact that after Naru did this, after the ceremony, they came back.
Hell yeah, baby.
And so that's kind of like, and we know from this franchise that flintlock ended up in the hands of a Predator. So
love it.
That didn't end well.
So even if there's not a sequel, that is a fun, like, we're making it connect everything together. Like, yeah, I love it.
The implications of like, not a lot of those people survived that invasion. It sucks. But yeah, I adored this movie.
Because Naru got taken to the game planet with the others.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Man, remember when we made our top 10 list, y'all? What? This is such a good year for entertainment. It's
oh my God.
Bananas.
You don't have to do. What if that Predator ship dropped a bunch of Predators around the world, and so you just make movies set in 1719?
Yeah, because let's just say this is the first time. Like, hey, we found the planet with people that we can actually.
Here we go. Like, only one of those ships is for Naru. The other 2 are going somewhere else.
England, Japan.
Are you sure it was 3 ships? Because like the Predator ship has 3 like fins.
It definitely looked like 3. It's
ships.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, that was having just watched Predator 2. It was my Leo pointing at the screen moment. The only one that's in this movie.
Yeah. Final thoughts for me. This movie is better than I ever could have imagined. Like, I had a good feeling going in, but like, it gave me more Predator than I expected. It gave me more action than I expected. It gave me more heart than I expected. Like, I expected it to be good, but this movie, it's like we're gonna make a Predator movie, and they did 110% that in the best executed way possible. I love it.
Sparks.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier with it as for the way that it came out. Ryan, what would you rate it?
Oh, actually, this isn't even a negative, but it is something I noticed. it's because I watched the Comanche dub. They say I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And that's just something I don't think a Comanche would say in 1715. And then again, that doesn't ruin the script. It definitely was written in 2022 or whatever. But he says, I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, that was a weird sentence for a 1715
Interesting.
Comanche.
He doesn't.
Fun fact, because I was watching the English version with subtitles on, he says I have to go take a squat.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's a weird dub. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
It's not an actual complaint.
It's just translated weird in the subtitles.
It's just like wow, that's a very modern phrase, my guy. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's so funny that the English one is regular. Okay, cool. I would give it, man. I have no negative. Like I give it a 10. Like I love it. Like I have no negatives. Like I can't think of a negative thing except for the bathroom thing, which isn't a negative.
Yeah.
Sparks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they executed on the concept perfectly. I could not be happier with how this turned out. So glad they did it. I'd also give it a 10.
Ben?
I would give it a 9. Solid 9. Probably
Hard
9.5. I definitely want to watch this again because when I was watching it, I was still suffering from jet lag. There are parts of it, especially during the scene where she was talking to the Frenchman, where I was almost dozing off. But thankfully, when the Predator showed up, I woke up again. I don't have any negatives to say. All I hope now is that we get more Predator films in period pieces, just like this. I want one in England or in the Middle Ages, or maybe not in the Middle Ages, but around that time period. I want one in Japan, obviously. I just want more Predator films set in the past. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I want a lot more Predator movies. I don't want just prequels. I want sequels. I want the good version of the Predator. I want what we were teased with Alien vs Predator 3. I want
Stargazer.
I want those movies. I want to go to the Yautja homeworld. I don't think it's probably not possible to do it as a film, and I'll concede that for the rest of my life, but it won't deny how much I love the Yautja. I love the Predator franchise. There's so much potential that we can see from it, and this is a really incredible encapsulation of why the Yautja, why the Predator have such incredible potential. 10 out of 10.
I think with Disney being the ones who making this, not something like Warner Brothers. Like I definitely, like, we're getting comics soon too. I fully expect to. I don't know about the Homeworld movie thing. Like, as much as I want that might be too much. But I guarantee you, the comics are gonna go so hard into that shit, man. We're gonna learn so much about the Yautja, more than we can even stand. I bet.
I'm very excited. The Predator comic comes out in 2 months. I'm so excited.
I'm certain that as shitty as Bob Chapek is, and as much as he probably didn't care about how Prey was going to do one way or another, its popularity, he's gone, what's this here? What can we do?
We're getting that Noah Hawley alien show soon.
Yeah, hopefully he takes a good lesson from this.
Me too.
Yeah,
hope so.
Hell
okay. Yeah, man, this movie's. I watched this twice in 24 hours.
I'm sure Bob Chapek saw like how the Predator did, heard this idea of Prey, and went, yeah, all right. I mean, like, we'll release it because it was in production and all that, and that's fine. And
it's lower budget.
Do something, and he's like, maybe it will do well. Who knows? We'll see. And now is looking at it and going, okay.
You know what they didn't do? You know what they didn't do? They didn't cancel it before it came out.
Yeah,
it's true.
God.
Okay, well, that'll do it, guys. That's the show. The No Book Club. But Ben, book club next week?
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay, you'll figure it out. We'll let you guys know. Things should be posting should be back to normal by next week. I am going home next week.
Yay!
I hope. I'm COVID free.
Yay!
I just gotta
tough it out.
Just gotta tough it out so I can finally get home.
Honestly, when you told us that you got COVID and right after I felt better, I was like, son of a bitch. I felt bad.
That's okay. I also wanted to punch you in the face then too. Anyway, no, I'm kidding.
Ben did give it to you, so I mean,
he did.
Virtual COVID
through the screen. I was there.
Kiss me through the phone.
Ben went to his witch. He said, "I really need to get to London. Give this to somebody else," and it transferred
to me.
And
Thanks,
he went
Ben.
to the big Bentley.
Thanks, Ben.
I'm leaving now. Bye.
All right, Ben. So next week we're going to be doing Day Shift, the new Jamie Foxx vampire film, on Netflix. So stay tuned for that. Also, probably a couple of specials. I think Nope and Sandman are things that we've been talking about. Umbrella Academy potentially.
Yes.
So stay tuned for some of those things. Okay. You can check out. Hey guys, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Check out all sorts of shows we have on here. Fake Nerds Watch, Basement Arcade Pause Menu, Fake Nerd Book Club, and Animation Station. All of which you can find episodes on this channel if you want to check them out. You can find our Patreon and you can find our TeePublic on the description below. If you want to support us financially, you can do that there. You can find our website, or you can find all of the links on our website at fakenerdpodcast.com, which is also linked below. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watched the live show and the rewind. We greatly appreciate all of your support. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci for all the music you've heard here tonight, all the music for all of our shows. You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards or on Instagram at Suprock Podcast. Yeah. Or Facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official. That's his podcast, Suburban Proctologist.
It looks like the Predator is holding my head.
Thank you to Mike Matola. We were hoping to get Mike on this month, but that might not be happening.
Sorry, Ryan brought it up, but great use of the Predator's neon green blood.
Yeah.
Just great whenever it was used.
I fully expected that the poster of her covered in green was just a poster thing. Nah, she's cool at the end. She looks cool.
I wish we got the Predator to talk a little bit. One of the fun bits about Predator 1 and 2 is that the Predator actually like speaks, not like the recording. There's the one where he like grabs Daniel Glover and goes motherfucker.
I kind of like that he didn't, to be honest. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see in the future.
It's not a deal breaker at all.
No, it's a 9 out of 10.
You know what? Yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 now. No talking. Anyway, Mike Matola, who does a couple collaborations with us, is a current collaboration that you can check out. Hopefully we get him on soon. It does not look like it will be this month like we had hoped, but maybe soon. And he also does some of our logos for us. You can find him at Mike Matola on Instagram and TikTok. And check out our How to Train a Dragon episode with him, where we win the How to Train a Dragon print. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for Screen Rant, Atomic Geekdom, and KaiDramaMedia.com. Ben?
You can find me really not wanting to go back to the grind tomorrow at BenMaga27 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, and GoNintendo.com.
Ryan?
You could find me praying for more Predator movies at DJ Tony Snark 616. That's pray with an A. Happy holiday.
And Sparks?
You can find me knowing that if it bleeds, we can kill it. At Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Mag kindly, as always, says, later, gang. Stay safe and catch you later. See you, Mag.
Thanks for spending 4 hours with us, Mag. I appreciate you.
Yeah, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcast, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Until next time you see us, guys, stay fake nerds.